Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. It's Hump Day, which means Science Bob is here in his brand new beard that he's growing. You know what I look forward to with Bob's beard? Is that when he shaves it off, he'll send it to me. That's what I look forward to. He'll send me the beard. It'll go up in the studio with the rest of them. Dirty Filth is here with another great cartoon, and we have all of you as well, including Race Fan in the gold medal position, SJ with a silver, Road Flair taking home the bronze medal tonight. Hi, Kitty Cattywhack. Robert Lamoth. Paul Shreves is here. Thank you for joining us. Brown Dwarf. The lovely Amy WC is here. And Pony Pong. Good to see you all. Eternity Eternal. Karyn in the Woo Train. Scott B. Mel WD40 has arrived, currently lubing us up for tonight's show. Because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You don't want rigidness. You don't want any nicks or crannies that you just get caught up on. No, doesn't feel good. So Mel is lubing us up so that way we broadcast a nice, smooth show tonight. Matt Carter, nice to see you. Jessica S. Tim Mothman and his goatee, two separate entities. Hi, Simon the Likeable. And who's next on our list? Glenn John McEnroe is here, the pride of Wimbledon. Glenn will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Lee the Bee, how are you? Good to have you here. Flat Six, Cosmic Joe, thank you for joining us tonight. Scrolling on down, we have JSCO. And number 2 in your program, starting on defense from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. Yep, there he is. Thomas Rock, nice to see you. And who else is here? Tim's in the background, absolutely cracking me up right now. Noble Patrick, nice to have you back, my man. Thank you for joining us. Dutch Hank, looking very Dutch tonight. How's your wooden shoes? Let us know. I know you're wearing them. Human Carl is here. A great veteran of the United States Air Force. Thank you for your service, Human Carl. I don't mean to laugh for you, but Tim is just cracking me up here. Cracking me up. Oh, the beauty of having somebody in studio. Mennonite Abe has arrived. Mennonite Abe will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Remember, Mennonite Abe does not like when you make eye contact. He won't sign if you make eye contact. All right. Nina Williams, thank you for joining us. Hi, Pam Harris. Nice to see you. Resonate. Ozzy, Queen, Peachy Keen. D, how are you? Good to have you here. Algaray over on Twitch. 1,200 sit-ups, all in the honor of Science Bob. Every time he came up, Science Bob. Science Bob. Science Bob. 1,200 times. That's right. Frankie B, nice to have you back. Phyllis Boucher Perry, Operation Shutdown. And Michael J. Schumann. How you doing, my man? Good to see you. All right, continuing on with roll call here. And who's up next? Well, it is Paramarv, Mike Rivers. How you guys doing? good to see you. Hi, Kathy Evans. Super crazy. Nice to see you. Bobbert and J Truth Seeker, thanks for coming on in. Push-ups, man. Marty Burbeck, Christine Lynn, and Channel Warhorse. Nice to have you guys here. I needed this today. I had a shit day today, and man, did I need this. This is why I do this show. And let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We got Science Bob here, Dr. Bob McGWIER. We're going to talk all things UFO. So much news to go over here momentarily. We're going to get deep into it. High necessary dialogue. And who is next on our list? We are caught up. Oh, Cody Eiler. Welcome to SOR Chat, my friend. And want to remind everybody the Super Chat is open. It is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Hi, Rich Buddy and Gamer Quest. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So go get lots. Because you want to wear it. Like, just say, screw it. I want to wear these clothes, man. I'm going to go get them. Digger Dog, nice to have you here. All right. I'm ready to launch. Hope you are too. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a power show of info tonight. It is huge on the UFO side. Science Bob is back for a little Science Bob and Friends. We'll get to Bob momentarily. Then in hour number 3, we have Swamp Dweller with another creepy story. Tim James, he's in the house. He's in studio and ready for the UFO report in the later part of the show. All right, this is one of the nights I love each month here on Spaced Out Radio. And we got Science Bob, our good friend, resident scientist, former spook, former CIA, former NRO. I even think he has former Fruit of the Loom on his Hanes underwear. That's the kind of guy he is. You know, Bob, though, is brilliant. He has his name on over 20 satellites that are flying around in space. He has started companies. He has lived the secrets and lived to tell about them. And now he chases UFOs. He chases high strangeness. And he's a good friend of Spaced Out Radio. Science Bob, it is always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing super, Dave. Man, you were not kidding when you said we've had a month. We've had it.
Oh, my goodness. It is totally big. Bob, before we get into the UFO stuff, we are just coming off the anniversary of 9/11. And, you know, it's a day of reflection. It's a day of, you know, looking back and saying, man, I can't believe that was 23 years ago already. I know you were very involved in the agency at that time and doing your thing, whatever it was you were doing that you cannot talk about for the most part. But what was that day like for you and where were you?
So, as a matter of fact, I was in a down period. I wasn't doing any kind of crazy stuff. I was sitting at home watching the morning news, being lazy. I was just going to go into work late. And I sat there and looked, and I was watching NBC. I was watching the Today Show, and one plane flew into a building. And I went, wow, that was a big airplane. How did that possibly hit that building? So they began covering it, and you could see the fire people were going down crazy. And then all of a sudden, the second plane came and slammed into the other tower, and my brain went flick. I turned in to a intelligence officer. I went, we are at war, and the only thing we need to do now is figure out who it is and kick some ass. So I watched and saw some horrible stuff because it was crazy live television. And you can't find this stuff anymore because it was cut. But in that day, camera people made mistakes. And I watched more than one person go from the 100th floor all the way to the ground. It was bad. So, I mean, I got really upset. So I went to work, got on the classified networks and classified telephones, and talked about what it is I might do, and we figured it out. So I was my trip to wherever that might be was 2 to 4 weeks away. So I'm an amateur radio operator, so I volunteered, given my experience, to go down to the rubble pile and help them provide communications and logistics, because all communications in and around that part of town and the Battery Park were destroyed because they cut all the cables underground when that thing fell. So I went down to intermediate school 89 with the Red Cross and set up my radio stuff in there. And until Verizon rolled in their mobile cell towers, several days later, I was in there providing communications between the people working on the pile and in the school. We had beds and cots and food and other stuff. So I was working logistics on all of that being done, arranging for transportation for people to come in and out. And I even climbed up the American Express building and put an antenna out a broken window so we could get better communication. It was a crazy time. And the dust from the collapsing building was that thick on the sill right outside my window. I don't know how those guys worked in that for months. And as you know, a lot of them were hurt. And I've got friends that were down there that are now good friends of UFO land, and just one of those things. I did what I needed to do, and I went home. And one more story, and I'll shut up. When I got home, my daughter was a big-time soccer player, so she had a soccer match that weekend. So I went to the field and was getting ready just to relax and watch the game. And this fellow started walking across the field, and I didn't recognize him. So he kept walking, and it looked more and more like he was walking right at me. And he walked and he walked. I couldn't recognize him, but he looked all messed up. And so he got close and he opened his mouth. And dude, I could have collapsed. It was the father of my daughter's best friend, and they were playing together in the soccer game. His hair was burned off. His eyebrows were burned off. He had burned places on his face where he had gotten trapped in the edge of the fuel burning, and it burned him pretty badly. And I hugged him, and I'm going to tell you, I had been upset before, but at that moment, Dave, I was a lit fuse on the way to a stick of dynamite. And so I just went and did what I had to do for several weeks.
I will tell you this, Bob. On that day, I had worked the late shift at the radio station, and my ex-wife had allowed me to sleep in. And she was getting our daughter ready for school, or our daughter was 2, and she had another daughter that was getting ready for school. And she comes running upstairs, and she yells, "Dave, you got to wake up. I think World War III just started." And immediately it's like you jump into panic mode and, okay, what do I do? What do I do? I ran downstairs just in time to see the second tower collapse. And I immediately called my radio station and said, what do you need me for? I work in sports. I don't work on the news side. And it was all hands on deck. And they said, let's go. And it was shortly after that, working in sports, that I realized that an 18-year-old kid that I had trained in hockey, or 20-year-old kid that I trained in hockey, that was day one of training camp for him with the New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden. And they were all locked down. I interviewed his dad, but then we found out that 2 members of the Los Angeles Kings scouting team had been killed in the first plane that hit the towers. And from there, I called up Vancouver Canucks head scout Ron Delorme, and I had a beautiful 8-minute interview with him about the 2 scouts that were killed. And I remember I ended the interview. I said, okay, Ron, I'm stopping tape. And I said, Ron, I'm so thankful that you could talk to me on this really brutal day. And he says to me, he goes, Dave, can I tell you something? And I said, what? He goes, I didn't know they were on the plane. And I'm the one who broke that story to him. And I just, that was my time where I just kind of went outside and shed a little tear over what had happened, but anyways, thank you for.
I looked at when the plane came in and it was headed toward the Capitol building, saw it wasn't going to make it, and turned and plowed into the Pentagon. I had friends in there who were killed, and it was something to behold. Look in that hole in the side of the Pentagon.
Let's get to some UFOs. Let's cheer it up a little bit.
One more story.
Okay,
so
one more
I
story.
was a scouter, and I've quickly learned that a scouting friend of mine from the town over next to mine, Todd Beamer, had been on the airplane. And that's the guy on the airplane that said, let's roll, and went to get him. He was a fellow scouter. I mean, living in New Jersey, there's no way you weren't touched in 20 different ways by people who were working down at those towers or flying on an airplane. It was awful.
Science Bob, we bring you in to talk a lot about UFOs and the science behind a lot of the phenomena. And this has been a month of craziness. It started out with Lou Elizondo's book. I might as well ask you right off the bat, what did you think of that?
I thought it was really interesting. There's a lot of stuff that Lou hinted at that couldn't go into completely. And as usual, that leaves you wanting. But there was a lot of things that we learned about Lou that we couldn't have known about otherwise. And all the things he was involved in, the people he worked with. And it was clear that he came in just as OSAP was rolling down. It had been shut down. It was kind of in this interim phase where everybody worked in a collab space informally because Jay Stratton was a senior and commanded a lot of respect. And so he was able to keep people working. And it's kind of exciting, that stuff. They're seeing videos and pictures of UFOs and talking about ships and airplanes and other stuff, seeing that stuff and interacting with it. So I can absolutely see how it was zero problems for Stratton and Travis Taylor to keep all those guys working, even though they had lost their formal billet. And so it just made complete sense to me. And then he told the stories about his personal things that went on through whatever weirdness was going on in his home on Kent Island. And I have done actual work for the National Security Agency on Kent Island. I know that place really well. So it was kind of all brought it home to me, given that I worked in Maryland and lived in New Jersey, and I just knew a lot of stuff. And it was really, I enjoyed it. It was really well done, and I learned a few things that I did not know before reading it. So it was good.
Bob, there's a couple things out of the book that really caught my attention, and I'm curious your opinion on the book Imminent. Number one, it's really where we found out that Elizondo and David Grush both worked for Space Force, looking for UFOs, according to Elizondo. Did that shock you at all?
So Space Force did not exist at the time when OSAP and ATIP were just in place. So Trump had been in the presidency for 2 years before he stood it up. So, but the Space Force part of the Air Force was in operation. So, but anyway, it was interesting, and I did not know. So, what was clear was Grush and Lou both worked for UAPTF under Travis Taylor, and that Travis had recruited or gotten Grush from the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and got him to work on his problems. And then Travis tasked Grush with running around investigating all of the stuff that they knew about because of the Wilson documents. They knew about all of it because of the Wilson documents. So they went, and my guess is David Grush was not allowed to tell it, but I bet real money he went and interviewed Admiral Wilson and figured out how to find stuff. And that was the original breadcrumb that got dropped on him, because Eric Davis was involved. Eric Davis would know about the Wilson documents.
Well, what do you think then about Eric Davis? A little bit change of topic. We'll take a side road here and get back to it. But what do you think about Eric Davis coming out and now admitting that he was the one and blaming everybody else, blaming Grant Cameron, blaming the late Michael W. Hall, God rest his soul, who just passed a few days ago. Okay. Blaming Edgar Mitchell's family for breaking the NDAs. Okay. What do you think of all that?
Well, none of that's false, nor does it contradict the fact that he was the author. So I think he did not want to be subjected to years of questions in embarrassing moments. And he thought that once Edgar had it and the people at NIDS had it, it would all be kept secret. And what was being threatened was Davis and others' ongoing working relationship with Dr. Jim Lukatsky. I understand how he felt, because he was worried that stuff would be threatened. And it's clear that he and Putoff were working nonstop during that period, even though they were sitting on Bigelow, et cetera, with also, and Lukatsky was their contracting officer inside of DIA. I understand his reasoning. That said, Edgar Mitchell should have dealt with it better, and he just didn't. But look, thank God he did what he did, because this Australian who knew the family went and got the document, took it to Australia, wanted it to be brought back to the North American continent where people could do something with it, and then arranged for a well-known person in the UFO community to take it up and offer it to Grant Cameron. And Grant was a little bit worried about it, so talked to Michael W. Hall about how to stay out of trouble. And pretty soon he arranged for it to be leaked on the internet, and Richard Dolan got a hold of it, and here we are.
Oh, don't even bring up those times with me. Those are still sore times, man.
I know, Dave. I am so sorry you got scooped in something developed, or what can I say?
I didn't get screwed or scooped. I got screwed in that. I totally got screwed. And, God bless Michael W. Hall. But, I mean, dude, I've never, ever taken one on the chin like that before in media. I've been in radio for 20 some years now.
Yep.
And I've never taken one on the chin that way. And, I guess I got to forgive because Michael's no longer here. He's on the other side, but you know what? That one's, Michael W. Hall, But
yeah, I mean, I really think he did you wrong telling everybody else about your scoop.
yes, he did. Yes, he did. But and you know that, and for our audience members, you know, there's a little bit of ego that goes into this job. That's the reason why we've never done a story on the Wilson Davis documents, is because I literally got screwed on that story by a friend, and I will call him a friend, okay, because Michael was a friend. But I literally got screwed on that. I'm still bitter. Still bitter. Like
Yeah,
5
well, I mean, you know, you have every right to be. Not that Grant did the wrong thing and Richard Dolan didn't do a good job of rolling it out. It was still yours. You got screwed.
Oh, huge, huge. Let's get back to Elizondo and for a minute here, because, you know, the other thing that I found interesting in his book was that outside of the orb experiences, he never really got deep into what he's experienced. You know, yes, he talked a little bit about remote viewing. He talked a little bit about the orbs. You know, we finally got it out of him that, you know, he's on the Tom DeLonge theory that all aliens are bad and here to harm us and rip us apart, even though he admits they've been here for likely thousands of years and they've never done that to humanity before. Okay. I found, with 3 minutes to go, Bob, before we got to go to break, we could carry this over. I found it a little bit contradictive at times on that. How about you?
Here's how it read to me, that he had a lot of stories, like a lot of people who have done serious, active, weapon engaged operations overseas. He had experiences overseas. And then he came back. He was involved in remote viewing. And Elizondo is a curious fellow. I bet he remote viewed a couple of places in and around his investigations. And he got caught up in it and started having experiences at a home because they followed his moonbeam home. I guarantee you that's kind of about how it went. And I believe he has serious other experiences, including, we heard enough hints over several years to know that he had been within a few feet of a craft. And that was not covered.
Now, Bob, I'm going to tell you this, and I don't think I've ever told you this before. I actually remote viewed that one night. I was just sitting around thinking about Elizondo, and I remote viewed that he had been face to face. And to take it one step further, to tell people that I'm not making this up, I approached Sean Cahill about that, and I approached Elizondo on that, on private conversations. Okay. Elizondo did his nervous laugh that he does when he's trying to deny things. And Cahill later on told me that I had it about 80% right.
That's pretty good for a remote view. Usually you're happy if you get over 50.
Yeah. On this one, though, Bob, it was clear as day. And I don't remote view. I don't sit down and just remote view. Like, I was just thinking about it, and then bam, it came to me.
So I actually believe that you saw that one clearly because it was a high energy, high emotion event, and those are the easiest to view.
But this was going back 3-4 years ago now.
Time has nothing to do with remote viewing. Nothing.
Oh, I hear you there. I hear you there, my man. Look, we got a lot more to cover here on Elizondo's book. We got to get to the new UFO hearings, Jay Stratton, and many other topics that are going on, because apparently Rick Doty is back in the news.
And with a bunch of other AFOSI agents. There's big stuff to tell.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of news to cover in the next 90 minutes with Dr. Bob McGWIER. We call him Science Bob around here. He is our resident scientist of Spaced Out Radio. When I need questions answered, this is the guy I go to. Science Bob and Friends happens each month here on Spaced Out Radio. We will be right back. Stay tuned, everybody. We're going to get deep into the UFO story. All right, Bob.
All righty.
We are going to try and get to questions in hour 2. I cannot guarantee it tonight, but I'm going to.
We have so much to cover.
Hi, Android. How you doing? Welcome. Mennonite Abe is a fan of your beard.
Good. Yeah, I'm gonna let it get a little longer. It's already dragging over my lip. I need to trim it.
I hate that.
Yeah. It's about a ½ inch too long. I gotta trim it. And then other than that, I'm gonna let it get a little longer and keep it not much longer than yours, maybe the same length.
I'm trying to keep mine short now. I have to with my CPAP because of my mustache hair gets too long.
That's exactly right. I don't want my CPAP not working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that day that incident happened, I remember exactly where it was. I was standing on my patio staring up at the stars when all of a sudden that hit me. I was just thinking of Elizondo, and it just came clear as day. It was it was like right out of the ending of Close Encounters of the Third Kind when Dreyfus walks up to the craft. I personally think that Elizondo has been face to face with entities.
Well, I think he's been out to S4 and seen them.
Oh no, I think it has nothing to do with S4. The picture that I got was in a forest somewhere.
Interesting.
It was in a forest, and according to Cahill, that's what I got wrong. One of the things I got wrong, but it was clear as day as it was in a forest at night.
Well, Cahill may not know every incident.
I don't know, but it is what it is. Mama Catherine,
I guarantee you those high intensity emotional things, they're much easier to read.
Yeah, it was intense. Very intense.
Yeah, things are kind of getting intense around here too. So Lala led an interesting life before we got together. So she needed time. But as time has gone on and everything is stabilized, her abilities, they are going through the roof.
Oh man.
I mean, way through the roof. Somebody says, can you get Lala to do something? And before I ask her, she knows and has seen it. And that's how intense it's gotten.
All right. Woo, am I? How are you? Gotti B, welcome to SOR chat.
That and about every big name paranormal person you can think of now knows our name.
Good.
That's good.
We got about 90 seconds, Bobbert.
Hey, Marty, how's it going? Paramarv, good to see you. Joel Monk. Does he still have aliens?
Oh, he's always got aliens. He's just still too afraid to admit it.
We're going to pick on him, though.
Oh, of course. Science Melinda in Australia, welcome.
Hey, Science Melinda. My science buddy from down under.
Swamp Dweller is here. Swampy, How you doing, buddy?
Yes, he is.
He's growing a mustache just for this show.
Good.
Yeah,
facial hair is an important part of the show.
Hey, when he's done with that lip blade, he better send it on up here in an envelope.
Thanks for the gift, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you very much, Trucker Andrew. Grant ×2. And Grant, yes, I will call you tomorrow. And West Area 53 for the super chat. Yes, Joe, you do have aliens.
Definitely have aliens. And Grant Davies, thank you for the great gifts.
Yes. Grant is the lip blade. Yes, he is the lip blade, the original. All right, Bob, I think we got 30 seconds.
Whatever.
I want the swamp blade. I'll call him the swamp blade. I want the swamp blade on my wall. 10 seconds here, Bobbert. All right, here we go. We're talking UFOs tonight with Science Bob, and we are about to get deep into the unidentified aerial phenomena. Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott, and yes, this is the mighty SOR. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. All right, Science Bob, let's get right to it here. You know, we got a lot to cover. We're talking about Lou Elizondo's book, Imminent. And here's one other thing that I noticed about it that I wanted to bounce off you. When it came to the USS Nimitz incident, I found it funny that he never mentioned Sean Cahill's name as the chief warrant officer, considering him and Cahill are literally locked at the hip the last few years in this study, and Cahill is very public about it. And he never mentioned Kevin Day's name, which I found very interesting as well as the chief radar operator. They're both public. You can use their names. It's not like it's a private story. It's already been known in the public.
I actually think that that's probably not true, given that when he would have learned of their details, they would have been engaged and underway and in service, and his ability to say anything about them or what they saw is restricted. And my guess is the Dopser approval was not, they told him not to mention them at all. So he couldn't even write a line and then black it out if that happened in Dopser. So the case is still out on that. We should ask him.
Well, if his publishing company ever gets back to me, I will actually ask him. I'm going to email them again tomorrow saying, you know what, we're 70 interviews in. I've heard him on a number of shows, quite much smaller than ours. Why haven't we got a date yet?
Yep.
Considering, Bob, they wanted me on in week 1.
Yep.
So I don't know what the hell is going on for our audience. I apologize about that. I don't even know if I want to do the interview now, to be blunt.
Well, the other thing, look, I mean, I really like the guy. I liked his book, etc. But he's one of the few guys in all of this that has avoided me like the plague. It's interesting.
I have no idea.
I mean, I've talked to Chris Mellon, spent time talking to him in New York. So I don't get it.
Well, let's move on here. The other big thing about this book was how he talked extremely highly of Eric Davis, who we mentioned earlier in the last half hour, and Jay Stratton. And both of them haven't really reciprocated the love for the multitude of compliments that Elizondo presented to them. What did you think of that?
I don't like it when that kind of stuff happens. And so Stratton's got a book coming out, and Elizondo got out first. So you understand the dynamics there, whatever that might be. But Eric Davis and Stratton both seem to be saying that Elizondo in his book appears to exaggerate his importance. And Jim Lukatsky, I believe every word Lukatsky says. And he said, Elizondo was never in charge. I was in charge of OSAP and ATIP until it ended.
So why do you think Elizondo's telling people that he ran the program?
So but Lukatsky retired when all of that ended. So if it extended informally, Lukatsky might not even know about it. So look, it's a bunch of kind of petty jealousies and probably just not talking to each other. So timing is everything when you listen to their statements. And George and Jeremy got on the air and totally reinterpreted Lukatsky's statement. And Elizondo has gotten on and talked about how he wishes that some of those people would talk to him so that they could settle it. And he's praised them. He continues to praise them in multiple interviews because lots of people have asked him about the things they've said.
Speaking of Jay Stratton, are you surprised he's writing a book?
No, I'm not surprised. Because Jay is, look, you know, I got a lot of friends and have had and maintained. And Jay is heavily involved in the official planned disclosure. And I think Elizondo and maybe even Grush threw a monkey wrench in all of that. And David did it because, egged on by Ross and the threats from the inside, he decided to come out and not do it with everyone else. So I just, you know, this is all, we don't know all the story. So I listen to each of them to get what I can get out of them, especially if it's stuff that I can check. And all this kind of wah interplaying, I'm just ignoring it.
What do you think is going to be in Stratton's book?
Oh, so you missed it. So let me tell you about it. Tonight, Matt interviewed Sarah Gann, and she was a mid-level staffer at the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and worked for Stratton and Tim Taylor as an analyst and investigator. And she told a bunch of stories, but the big thing is she said she described a collab area on the inside of the intelligence community where people from all over the place could put things together. She said they had hundreds of videos and many people working on it. And they were from all over the place. They didn't actually get up out of their desk in whatever agency they worked in and go sit in the Pentagon. They all worked together in this collectively, virtually, in a collab area. She told the details about how it worked, and she was kind of wide open. It was pretty amazing. She wouldn't tell us about classified details that you would say, oh, that's obviously classified. So she would stop if she got close. But she was more open and easy talking and telling details. And she said, oh, yeah, the British, they have a massive database of UFOs all the way until today. After the UK been telling its own people they don't have a program and haven't had for years. She outed the UK, she outed Canada, and she outed others. And it was pretty amazing. So she's now a high-level classified contract, top secret, special compartmented information for SAIC. So I'm telling you, man, it was an amazing interview.
Wow. I'll have to check that. That's Matt.
That's a must. And it ended an hour before this, which is why you didn't see it.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Do you think that Stratton, though, will kind of, or maybe got upset because Elizondo maybe took some of his thunder with imminent? And that
Yes.
was,
Yes. Look, if there's 5 different explanations, the simplest one is almost always the best. Now, I don't know, but until I get more evidence, it seems like sour grapes.
Speaking of,
look, right now, he is playing, he and Travis Taylor and our other friends in the Uinta Basin, they are playing a heavily negative role on the UAPTF, the UAP Disclosure Act amendment to the NDAA. And we heard today that it's probably not going to pass.
are you surprised that we are going to be getting new hearings apparently later this month?
That is amazing, especially the one in the Senate. I think that is going to be earth-shaking.
See, I don't get Senator Gillibrand. You know, the first time she wanted the hearings, she teamed up with many other senators saying, we're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to do Senate hearings on this. Basically interviewed Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick,
who lied to her nonstop.
Then came out and said, there's nothing there. There's no there. We're kind of done with the topic. And now she's reinvigorated, wanting to find them UAPs.
He lied to her, and she's now figured it out, given help from a lot of other people. And this new guy, Koslowski, was an NSA guy, and it's really good news to me that Sean Kirkpatrick said, I've never heard of it. That means they don't know each other.
Are you surprised by that? You've worked in the
Oh, no. You don't understand. It's these agencies, they are tens of thousands of people.
Right.
It's like saying, I know everybody in that city that's 50 miles away. No, they don't know everybody. That's impossible.
Here's what I think, Bob, and I want to give you this theory. Okay. And I'm curious what you think. I think a lot of this negativity that we are seeing, negative aliens, threat narrative, everything right now, Elizondo's book, Stratton's book, new hearings and everything. I think that they are more worried about a potential catastrophic disclosure and losing control of the narrative of this being an imminent threat, hence the name of Elizondo's book, Imminent, that they are willing to do anything and everything right now to calm this subject down.
Except there's other information. So,
okay, fill me in.
Yeah, Quantum Frontiers is a new company, and Stratton, Travis Taylor, Gary Nolan, Tim Gallaudet, on and on are involved in it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's yet another one of these companies that when disclosure happens and the technology leaks out, like stuff they want to capitalize on it.
Oh, absolutely. We're not into disclosure movement, Bob, and I hate to sound negative on this because I still believe we are in a confirmation movement. But if we're in any sort of disclosure movement, we're in a disclosure for dollars movement.
Absolutely.
Right? And here's the other thing that I want people to pay attention to. The names, if you recognize the names that we keep saying, whether it's Travis Taylor, Gary Nolan, Rich Hoffman, or Elizondo, Stratton, Lukatsky, whoever it may be, if you go spiderweb their names out, they are all involved in a minimum of 5 to 10 plus UFO groups.
Yep.
They have their fingers in everything.
And they are networking, learning how to do their next gig. But apparently Quantum Frontiers is a going deal. And I think Stratton's the CEO.
Could very well be. Could very well be. I think there's.
I mean, you could see why then the people around the Uinta Basin would be adamantly opposed to eminent domain because they don't want to lose what they find. And I got to tell you what, they found stuff. Scientifically, I'm telling you now, they have found stuff.
What do you think they found?
I think if it's as wild as I think it is, I think they found a craft that crashed is inside that mesa, and it has artificial intelligence involved because it keeps reacting to what they do in the environment intelligently. I saw them with my own two eyes in those videos, and given their description, have time dilation events over that triangle. And the dilation is very, very long. Impossible in anything but a black hole, yet they're seeing delays of seconds. That's the Skinwalker Ranch stuff. People need to watch that and pay attention because it's real.
Do you believe then that catastrophic disclosure is the big worry?
Yeah.
Explain to our audience the definition of catastrophic disclosure.
Okay. All of a sudden, the flood opens and all the secrets come pouring out. It's catastrophic for several reasons. The people that want to capitalize on technology are worried about all of that getting out of their control. That's number one. Number two, all of a sudden, from the beginning of the 20th century all the way through the 1960s, the crimes that have been committed to keep all this stuff secret, up to and including murder, will all of a sudden come rolling out. And there will be unbelievable criminal charges and civil suits. And so, and then heads will roll in intelligence agencies and people in the Pentagon, that's in the executive branch, that are sitting there keeping this secret still till today. And so it would just be a disaster to the successful functioning of the United States government and the institutions it needs to operate and defend itself for this to come out and blow everything up.
Do you believe that that is more of a threat than the aliens themselves?
So the stories that we keep hearing is the aliens, the aliens involved have threatened them that if they disclose, they're going to come and raid us sooner than they would otherwise. So it's one of many different things, all of them ugly.
Do you buy that?
I think we are actively engaged in an interaction with a non-human intelligence, and that we are able to communicate with them and they with us, and they're covering it up. What is in the content, what we have agreed to with them, I don't yet have enough information to claim anything. But if it's the worst thing, we've let them take people in exchange for technology.
Okay, so here's my issue with that. People have claimed that there have been alien visitations for thousands of years. It's written in the pyramids, in a lot of the catacombs, and a lot, we've seen everything from spaceships to aliens. It's in Egypt, in Peru, in other places. And the aliens that are shown there always seem to be helping in one way or another.
Okay, except during the latter half of the 20th century, we exploded. We literally exploded in technology capabilities, science, etc. And we are now on the verge of releasing our own artificial intelligence. and we're going to marry it to our bodies and become cybernetic organisms. If I were a non-human intelligence and I were tens of thousands of years older than we are, and I remember through looking at history the rate at which we developed, and I see all of a sudden this unbelievable race of apes on this tiny planet around an insignificant sun have gone as fast in 50 years as it took us to 1,000 years, they would be a threat because of how fast we have developed.
Well, hey, I'm not denying that. And I think if I were to put my tinfoil hat on here for a second, not that I take it off often, I think something more happened at Roswell, that if there is a threat narrative, it pissed the aliens off.
Yeah.
And I think that revolves around Roswell. I've been told stories.
So I think the one where we got the nastiest was in Kingman, Arizona.
Could have been.
I think we got nasty there, but Roswell, we just found it, and the story, according to Doty and others, is we rescued one of them.
I heard a different story from a different source.
Okay.
And we weren't very nice to them.
Well, I would doubt it, because we would have been scared to death of what they were.
Yeah. So I think Roswell has a big thing.
I'll give you evidence that could be true. If I was a smart alien and I knew that my people had been taken and treated badly by this race of monkeys on the ground, first thing I would do is find out where the boss is and go and scare the crap out of him 5 years later by flying over his house and his capital in 1952.
Well, if you're hinting on something that you know something, that ties into the story that I heard.
Yeah. Is that thing we're flying over was a threat. We can enter your house and do what we want to anytime we want to. That's exactly what that flyover in D.C. said.
Oh, hey, man, I get that. I get that. You know, when I say threat narrative being a trickster type of talk, I do, like, I'm not sitting here saying that all aliens are peace, love, and light. Not saying that whatsoever. What I'm saying, though, is I'm pretty sure they know who's upset them. Okay? That's what I'm going by. Because you don't hear, outside of Brazil, you don't hear a lot of vicious alien stories around the planet.
And so I still don't know what the world's going on in Colares. Colares is a crazy story.
Oh, the whole area is nut bar. I mean, you look at those alien videos that were taken late last year or earlier this year in the forest, where those little towns seem to get that they, you know. But the story I heard about Roswell was basically, as we've got about 90 seconds to go here, they came back for the bodies, and the bodies were gone. And the American government went, oops, sorry. And they went, yeah, that just really upset us. That's what I heard.
So I had a person with some abilities do a reading, and without knowing any of those stories, she said they're pissed off and they're coming. And they're going to kill everybody who was involved in the cover up and take their stuff home, including their dead comrades. When she said that, dude, I was shook. She doesn't know any of those stories or how to even put them together.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you.
And I want to know why that gray alien that we shot in the backyard comes up on my Alexa every time I talk about that story.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Here,
Oh,
did you
on
hear
that
her?
note, Science Bob, I did hear it. On that note, Science Bob, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Science Bob and Friends with Dr. Bob McGWIER looking into the deep, deep state of ufology right now, or UAPology, whatever you want to call it. It's still UFOs, people. This UAP crap will never grow on me. Hate that term. We're going to talk some UFOs. Science Bob on Spaced Out Radio continues after this. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. Mennonite Abe, we'll get to your message to Bob here in a bit. Dirty Filth, we're going to turn this over to you.
Yeah, but hey, wait, Dave, look at you guys were talking about. You have to check it before you come back, though.
Okay, hurry. I'm
The
right here.
Yeah, there you go. It's the big oopsie. We came for our craft and our slain fallen brethren. Well, we kind of chopped them up and back in engine the craft. What a shame.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that. I've already drawn a cartoon about it.
That's good.
Okay. Yes. I had to whip that sucker out. I knew it was in the pile somewhere. The pile's massive. Let me grab a stack of the pile there. Ugh. So, anyways, the backstory of this cartoon is a friend of mine. Oops, there we go. A friend of mine wanted a drawing of a gray alien having a brain freeze. And so I actually have personal experience with terrible brain freezes, because the first time I ever had a brain freeze, my pops was, well, he took me out. Would you like to have a Slurpee? Yes. Never had a Slurpee before, and the condition of him buying me a Slurpee was that we would have a race to see who could finish the Slurpee first. And being a young child, since I didn't understand what a Slurpee was, I won that race, and it was painful. So yes, anyways, rambling away here, but that's the inspiration for this, because it kind of stirred up old memories. So that's basically what I was like, probably about 5 years old, struggling with a brain freeze. Yep. It's Slurpee is sour raspberry or sour blue raspberry of some sort. It's definitely sour. It has to be sour. Probably pour a little vodka in there too. Why the hell not? He's a Canadian alien after all, so yes. We'll grab another guy here. Whoops. Spilled all my cartoons all over the place. It's terrible. But yes, this was the other cartoon previously that they were talking about. You know, imagine being an alien. Your friends die on some random planet. It's going to be like humans. It's going to happen one day. Some guy's going to die on a planet. We're going to send some people there, and you know, maybe those guys they're still in the medieval times. Like if you ever play Empire Earth, you could do that. Anyways, rambling here, but you'd probably be pretty rowdy too if your friends got beat up by a bunch of backwoods rednecks on a weird planet somewhere floating around. Anyways. Just love the aggressiveness of the gray alien. What a shame. This is a laser blaster. Totally a 1950s laser blaster type thing. Pew pew.
Love it. That's awesome, Phil. That's awesome, Phil.
Yeah. Man in Black's like, it was the big oopsie. So, Channel Warhorse. Yeah. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Brown Dwarf. Hi, everybody. But Yeah, and then there was the jellyfish UFO everyone was talking about for a while. They thought it was just bird poop on a camera lens. But that was always an interesting one. I actually drew a couple cartoons about the jellyfish alien. Who won the lottery? Well, it was the hockey lottery. It was basically not the Toronto Maple Leafs. All right.
What do you say, Dirty?
Yeah, so the Matt Ford interview tonight, she said when she was looking through all the classified data, she figured out what the jellyfish UFO was, and it wasn't a UFO.
Of course not.
Well, I'm keeping that character forever. So
No, it's great. That is a fantastic video.
Yeah, you have to.
Don't you ever get rid of it.
Don't
he's
you
going to come back later on. Trust me.
Don't you
Special
get rid of it.
cameo.
All
Have a
right.
good night, gentlemen.
Good night, Dirty Filth. All right. Bobby, what do you have on screen here?
That's the blue alien that walked up on us in the backyard.
Oh, yes. All right. We'll get to that in a bit here. Big thank you tonight so far to Area 53, Grantavius ×2, Trucker Andrew, Flat 6, and Mennonite Abe for the super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support, everybody. It's a great way to take care of us on Spaced Out Radio. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. We're living the dream here. We are. Promise you. We are. All right, let's go to blue. Has a little bit more glow. Here we go. All right, hour 2 is now underway of Spaced Out Radio tonight. We're talking UFOs with Science Bob. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate bringing the UFO news to you, especially with Science Bob is on. Hey, I want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The SOR, let's go to the Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What is this? Falsiloquence. Falsiloquence is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Dr. Bob McGWIER is here. We call him Science Bob. We are taking on the UFO story right now. And Bob, lots of drama going on in the UFO world. Planned hearings. The Sky Canada report is due within the next few weeks. We have Elizondo's book out. Jay Stratton's going to send a book out. We think it's disclosure for dollars. A lot of secrets going on behind the scenes. Is this good for ufology, or is it not a good sign?
Oh, man. What it's going to be is chaos. And I don't think the government is going to be able to control stuff coming out, because I think it's shifted now into people that know stuff and are going to come forward and talk. And everybody's getting dots or approval to say a lot of stuff. It's just, my opinion is, it's 3 seconds from going out of control.
Is that what we need?
It's irrelevant. What we need is what's going to happen, in my opinion.
Okay, explain that a little bit. Like, why does it scare you? Why is it something that wouldn't be healthy?
The United States of America is an important country in the world for stability. It's not perfect. It's made a lot of mistakes, but overall, it's been very good for the world. The system it set up at the end of World War II increased the wealth of the planet by many trillions of dollars. So we, in order to preserve this and keep it peaceful, keep the trade routes open, banking system going, etc. We need our institutions. And if these institutions completely perverted and covered themselves up with civil and criminal crimes, and they're brought to their knees, the world is going to be in a mess. Bigger than it already is.
Do you think, without getting into the political side of everything, do you think that this will become an election issue?
No, I don't, unless something major happens, no.
So is it a matter of just trying to now figure out how to cover up the mess?
Yes, how to breeze it slowly enough that it doesn't turn into a mess. That's what the game plan is. I'm sure of it. Especially after Matt Ford's interview today. This is a mid-level staffer that knows more than all of ufology combined, and let us know she did. It's not high ranking. This person doesn't know how the secrets work, but she let a lot of stuff out of the bag.
She would have had to be given permission for that.
I assume, but no one mentioned Dopser. Yeah.
When something is said out of the blue that way by what you call a mid-level staffer, wouldn't that, and I caught a portion of it, like maybe a minute of it. Okay, not much, and bad me for being that way. But when you look at somebody like that who is giving up that kind of information, you would think after agreeing to an interview that she would have to be very careful about what she says regarding specifics.
She did not release, in my opinion, any classified information. But I guarantee you, she released information that we and our allies have absolutely been covering up. And that is going to upset people. What country has no UFO program at all?
I don't know. Iceland?
No. What country says it doesn't have a UFO program at all that we are friendly with?
Great Britain.
And she talked about how big that program was and how big their file system was and how many thousands of things were in it. I guarantee you they won't be happy.
Okay. Speaking of people who are controversial in this field, Rick Doty sent out a tweet earlier today that basically said he is one of 6 ex-AFOSI people who've been asked to go to Washington, D.C. for meetings.
And to testify in front of the Senate.
So tell us about that process.
The Senate Intelligence Committee has purview over all intelligence operations in the government. They have oversight right because they fund it. And that's the way our government works. So they said, you can come or we're going to subpoena you and put you under oath. And no one would have gotten in their way. My opinion, they should subpoena them and all of their records and put them under oath. Because those are the men in black and they know everything. If you believe a word that Doty says.
He's still to this day such a highly controversial figure, with many people believing that he's just a disinformation agent. He is somebody who was put out there to destroy ufology and make up a lot of stories. But there are people out there who believe that, you know, he's trying to come clean and that he
will not lie to the United States Senate if they put him under oath. He will not.
What if these hearings, though, Bob, stay under wraps, that he doesn't get the Senate hearing or even a congressional hearing?
Well, I guarantee you more than once. They're going to say, ask a question. They're going to say, I'm happy to cover that in a classified section. We will hear stuff and we will not hear stuff. They will hear what they want, or they'll put people in jail.
All right. Speaking of not so nice people, the United States version of Darth Vader is coming up in the news, as it's been released that many people believe Dick Cheney is at the top of the house of cards when it comes to UFOs.
Rush claimed he still was. That's surprising.
Okay, you got to go more in depth on that with me.
So everybody knows what continuity of government is. In case of nuclear war, we have a plan to maintain our government in operation. And Dick Cheney has a role to play in continuity of government. And he along with other previous high-ranking government officials, will be taken to a deep underground military base and protected. And if the UFO things are really important, whoever's on the UFO cover-up will go with them. And he will go anyway because he's a vice president. Presidents and vice presidents will be the first to go in that underground base. So, and people don't realize his history. He was involved at the top of the Pentagon or the White House every Republican administration since Gerald R. Ford. The guy has been around and at the top forever. He is the perfect guy to run that program.
Do you think that he is the head of the secret group then? That
I think it's possible. I think it's not a low probability thing.
I always forget the name of it. I always want to say Electoral College, but it's not that.
MJ12, whatever you want to call it.
No, but there's a
the working group, whatever.
The working group, or whatever you want to call it. Do you think then that Cheney is the one calling the shots on whether or not disclosure happens?
I think he's for that group, acting to prevent it from happening. Whoever's in charge, we know from how Grush has been treated that they are preventing it from coming out. Well, I got to tell you, we all want the UAP Disclosure Act to pass with the National Defense Authorization Act because we want to know everything.
Right.
But last time, a lot of it passed. They took out the disclosure and declassification part, but they kept a very important piece. Thou shalt not spend a single dime of any color of money on UFO stuff without coming and telling Congress everything you know. That ended all expenditures, and it passed.
What about the Collins elite? Do you think he runs that? Because I know many people are trying to figure out who is actually in the Collins elite.
The Collins elite was mostly centered in the Air Force. And I just don't know who's in it now or even if it still exists. However, there are radical evangelical Christians inside of the Defense Department, and many are in the Air Force. There's been lots of scandals out at the Air Force Academy, all of them promulgated by extremely religious people. And I think the Air Force still has a lot of extremely religious people, and a person that Elizondo respected and worked for came and told him he should not be working on UFOs because they were all demons, and he meant it. He makes that clear in his book. So they still exist and they're still powerful.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm trying to get at here is that this goes well beyond the Air Force, Navy, Marines, or anybody, or even the alphabet agencies from blocking this subject. This goes well beyond that. This goes very high ranking.
Yep. And I just don't know how. I think the little house of cards is coming close to falling apart. And one of the reasons they're coming close to falling apart is very high level, powerful people are directly opposed to what these people over here are doing, especially when these people serve the country loyally and believe what these people are doing is illegal.
It's a whole different category, isn't it?
It's a mess.
With all of this, which sounds scandalous, to be blunt, how is this even going to get any sort of traction? I mean, the little guy, when it comes to the big military-industrial complex, usually doesn't win. It's quite an uphill battle, and ufology has fought that battle for 70 years. But how does the little guy win on this and keep saying we're close to winning when the big bad wolf is still at the door blocking the exit?
The difference is we now know from lots of people who are in the government that the big high level white angels are up there fighting the big black cape guys with their hoods on. And these people are gaining in power over these people. That was what appears to be happening. The people who are keeping it dark are losing control.
Do you think then, and I'm being hypothetical here, that there are major meetings going on in DC about this?
Yes.
And that, both sides can't seem to come to a compromise?
Well, I think that they're at loggerheads and that there's an actual war going on inside the bureaucracy. And it remains to be seen who will win. But it appears to me those for disclosure are winning the day.
Let me ask you this. Do you trust disclosure? Do you trust the process of what's happening right now?
No, because it's too fragile. That, and I really am. I am worried about destroying the institutions we and the world cannot do without. Imagine have nothing in the world that will stand in the way of Xi and Putin.
Well, they have their own UFO programs and their own Roswells.
Yeah, but forget that. They are now acting ugly to their neighbors and can rapidly sink the world into World War III. And they have nuclear weapons.
True that. True that. Getting back to the UFO front, do you believe then that maybe the aliens are in control of this? Could that be
I think that they have a hand in it. I mean, we keep hearing this story that has been going on since David Jacobs and others wrote their first books, that they have been involved in a hybridization program, placing their agents in human-looking bodies and getting them involved in our society. And that would mean including getting into government.
You're not going
You did call him Darth Vader, so maybe he's an alien.
Well, I call him Darth Vader because that's the popular name on X right now for him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. But I don't know. Look, if I were infiltrating another society and I was not really genetically a part of the society, I would work to move up, but keep a low profile. He's got too high a profile to be the leader of an aliens. They are definitely trying to force disclosure. There's no doubt they are. They have heavy-handed opposition.
When you force things, though, things usually break.
Yep. And that's what I think is happening. Matt Ford is in contact with a lot of people, and he is making loud and threatening noises and sentences. You got to come clean or it's going to blow up in your face. Danny Sheehan is saying exactly the same thing. Ross Coulthart is hinting. I just think I think that people are going to say enough is enough. Here it's coming out.
We got 3.5 minutes before we got to go to break. I'm going to quickly throw in a question here from Simon. Bob, what's your thoughts on where all the young people in this field, has social media ruined curiosity?
Yes.
That's a great question.
All absolutely true. There are no more gumshoe investigators. There's no more really hotshot ufologists. They all want to sit on front of a computer and investigate sitting on their butt.
You know, it's funny. Before the show tonight, I did a podcast with a good friend of mine, Bruce Claggett. You've talked to Bruce before, and we were talking about citizen journalism, how great it is with all these YouTube channels and podcasts and everything, but how they differ from real journalism, where the unfortunate part about it is you have a lot of people, and when they know how to build that social media voice, they're not being journalistic. They are using opinion as fact.
Yep.
And that is a dangerous message. I blamed the mainstream media on this, because the mainstream media has been garbage for over the last 20 to 30 years. And
they want to phone it in from a desk rather than send the field investigators out into the field, because that's expensive.
Absolutely. And as long as you have bean counters and lawyers running media outlets, that's going to continue.
I'll give you an example of bean counters taking over and ruining something. Boeing built every airplane and every rocket ship that was a major deal in the 20th century. Now they crash airplanes and kill hundreds of people. They put people up in a spacecraft that breaks on its way. And their rocket to take us back to the moon cost 6 times as much as they thought it would. And it's that technical leadership at the top of a great organization has been replaced with bean counters. Bean counters have destroyed Boeing. Destroyed it. And it's same things happening everywhere. Harvard-trained MBAs are destroying everything.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. A minute to go here before we gotta go to break at the bottom of the hour. Science Bob and Friends continues right after this. Bob, what we've talked about so many different subjects tonight. Does anything surprise you right now? Like, even if you were to put your thinking cap on and wonder what's next, what would be your highlight?
It has become I had no idea about who Matt was going to interview tonight. I have no idea all the things that we would learn in Elizondo's book, or that other people in the field that we know and respect were going to come up and sling mud at it. We simply are in a time of unpredictability.
I believe this, Bob, as we go to break. We can talk about it at the other side if you want. I believe that it all comes down to what this NDAA says in December. If they squash that like a bug like they did last year, I think that you're going to see a lot more doors shut.
I'll tell you why I think it's going to fail after we come back.
Let's go to break here. Science Bob and Friends continues after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we're clear.
Good. Yeah, look, there's a lot of stuff in the way. And the noises coming out of the Senate is there's no way that stuff will get a floor vote in the Senate for technical reasons, not political opposition. And it's an election year, and nothing is more important to the people in the Senate other than running their elections.
I agree.
The Republicans ought to take control of the Senate, but I don't think they will. And the Democrats smell blood, and they want to control it. And if they bring up UFOs and try to force it, the opposition might act ugly to try to harm them to win control of the Senate.
Now, I'm not as familiar with how American politics works. Is it just the U.S. presidential race, or are all the senators in election mode too?
1/3 of the senators are up for election. And it's a bad distribution for Democrats. The Democrats in the weakest states for them are up for election. And if they lose 2 Senate seats, the Republicans are in control.
Okay. I get it now.
Yeah, we elect 1/3 of the Senate, or whatever it is, every 2 years. Yes, it's 1/3 because there's 6. A Senate term is 6 years. They elect 1/3 of them every 2 years.
Got it.
I'm gonna take a little break.
Yeah, we got 3 minutes. Let's not get political in the chat room, people. Woo-poo, you've been here long enough to know better. Thank you, Paramarv. I'm going to ask you something really weird here, Bobbert, when we come back.
Go for it. You know me. Put my Marvin the Alien up too when you can.
I can put it up right now if you want.
Yeah, why not? That's better than our ugly faces.
Jamie, how you doing? What am I looking at here, Bob?
Okay, so you see the blue smoke.
Yeah.
And on the right side of the blue smoke, you can see 2 black eyes.
Oh, there.
With a nose in the middle, the chin, and the big bulbous head. That thing walked up 6 feet from us. Lala said, "Give me the camera," and went click and got it on film. And then it talked to her in her head.
Oh, lovely. Lovely. All right. Thank you tonight to Shaq Valet, Android, Joe ×2, Grant ×2, Trucker Andrew, Flat 6, Mennonite Abe at Area 53. Really appreciate the love, guys. Totally God, I can't.
Whatever.
Yeah.
And you're not even drinking. What's going on?
What happens when you have a microphone up your nose? 20 seconds, Bob.
Whatever.
About 14 seconds. Here we go. The halfway point is passed on Spaced Out Radio tonight, but we're still having a lot of fun. My name is Dave Scott. We have Science Bob here, and we are talking some UFOs and weird stuff all night long on Science Bob and Friends. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show and others, check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Science Bob is here for Science Bob and Friends. And Bob, we've talked a lot about UFOs, but you know, one of the stories that I don't like giving legs to, but I need your opinion on this, is Flight MH370, Malaysian Flight 370 that disappeared 10 years ago. What was strange was, and I don't usually put a lot of stock in this story, especially right now that aliens swarmed and there's a fake video out there that's already been doxed saying that aliens swarmed the plane and it disappeared. However, I'm going to jog your memory. Do you remember who Robert J. O'Neill is?
No.
He is the man who double tapped Osama bin Laden.
Oh, yeah.
He was a former member of SEAL Team 6.
And he was on Sean's podcast.
Absolutely. Well, he put out a little bit out of the blue, an ominous tweet just a couple days ago that I had somebody from the inside who knows him come up to me and tell me that this is a guy who has extreme high level of top secret clearance. And when you are a member of SEAL Team 6, you are elite of the elite. When they use that term best of the best, that's who they talk about. It's like Delta Force.
They work directly at the discretion of the President of the United States.
Right. Well, he puts out this tweet. Malaysia Flight 370 was never a mystery. It was a warning to China. ... What is your thoughts on that, hearing that for the first time?
It could be true or it could be false, but how does China know that? So China if they wanted to scare China into backing off from their cuckoo plans, that's the kind of thing they would do to convince them. And the video does look like an MQ-9 Reaper video. It does look like that. However, it didn't go to work because China's got very good video forensic analysts. And just like we found even the punters found that there were frames with repeated backgrounds where the noise was duplicate between multiple frames. That is zero probability, never happens. The film is a fake.
I get that. But what if this is something a little bit more sinister that we're not catching on to? Now,
I don't know what the message would be by sending a video they can find out is fake.
But what I'm saying is I don't think this has anything to do with the video. I tend to think that this might have something to do with either the usage of direct energy weapons or something maybe reverse engineered that was shot down from space.
Okay, so if you want to scare somebody, you show them that. You don't show them an obvious fake.
But that video is fake. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it has anything
so
to do with that
it
video.
can't be something to scare them because they won't be scared by a fake. There's no logic to that being it.
Here's the thing what I remember about that flight. There's a couple things that red flagged me about that going back to that day. Number one, we do know that there was, I believe, 40 electronic warfare members of the People's Republic's Army or the People's Liberation Army.
On that plane?
On that plane.
Ooh, that's suspicious.
We also know, and this is what really kind of tripped me out. You know, back in the day, don't forget, 2014, Facebook was still quite infant. And remember the old days when you saw in the chat, instead of a green dot now, there's a blue dot. And when you went offline, that blue dot would disappear. And for days after that flight went down or whatever happened to it, the blue dot was still on those people, many of those people. And what happens back if we go back? Remember, we're going back 10 years. Phones were not waterproof back then. If it went into the ocean, what happens when your phone dies or you have your phone off? You make a call, it doesn't go to the phone. It goes directly to voicemail. And yet family members were reporting that the phones were still ringing before going to voicemail. Those are the three things I remember on that flight.
Okay, so I don't know personally any details about whether the officers were on there. But if family members were calling people and their phones were still going to voicemail after ringing a timeout amount of time, that's very suspicious. That alone is enough to raise suspicions.
I agree.
That and the captain of the plane, he had zero hint that he was about to commit suicide. Zero. Now, his flight simulator had that flight plan in it. Now, if I were going to do an operation like that, I would plant that in his flight simulator.
Which was
so
probably
all of this is possible, but it's really strange.
Well, it gets back to that tweet that you have. I mean, Robert O'Neill is somebody who will never have to buy a beer in this country in the United States again.
Or any embassy or any Marine barracks or whatever. Never.
When you get the double tap into the forehead on the world's most hunted man, you know, I mean, he wasn't even supposed to release that. He was never supposed to go public. And even when he did, yeah, he got read the Riot Act, but you can't, you know, there's one thing about your country in the United States. You can't, it's very rare you take down a hero, especially a military hero who gets the number one man on the FBI's most wanted list.
Yep.
So I find that tweet very ominous. Now, I might be reading into things a little bit more. My sources say I'm not. That's why I wanted to bring it up with you.
It's the evidence that you have presented makes me highly suspicious. And the families and the other investigators should be highly suspicious. That, and it is just wild the amount of ways that we were able to track that airplane almost to the end of its destination.
It's a weird story. And I think the way he said the tweet, and I'll reread it again because it's short. Malaysia Flight 370 was never a mystery. It was a warning, period, to China, ... Yep. I find that completely ominous.
Yep, me too.
Completely ominous.
Me too.
All right, let's move on here in the UFO report, because I know there is a question here from, where is it here? Mennonite Abe, who is asking, now that Lou Elizondo has detailed what is in the 23-minute video in his new book, can you confirm that the description of a UFO dodging a drone is what you saw? And if you could add any details to what he described.
I have been told that is a video of a UFO dogging a drone, but I have seen it and I can attest to it. So I don't know any details outside of the people who have seen it, including the gal Matt interviewed today, says it's highly detailed, leaves no doubt. She literally said, we have hundreds of videos where we can make measurements and prove that what we are observing is not manufactured by humans on Earth. Multiple times she said that in the interview. And she's a mid-level person. I believe that this is possible.
Do you think, Bob, with everything that's going on behind the scenes politically of this, that we could be having other counter-espionage type of information coming out regarding not only everybody, but the aliens themselves? Or is this beyond the aliens? Do the aliens even matter in this right now?
Right now, this is a fight between two groups of people in the government who want control of the process. The Senate, the Congress is insisting. I've not seen this much bipartisanship since the year 2000 on any issue. It's literally impossible to be bipartisan, yet on this, they agree. I mean, AOC and Burchett are having coffee together. I mean, it's just crazy. There is unanimity that they're done being lied to by the Pentagon and the intelligence community. So it's just interesting to me, Dave. And there's a really serious push to end this.
Let's go to Eric's question from the lovely town of Concrete, Washington. What is Bob's vision of what a catastrophic disclosure will look like in 2030?
A bunch of high-level whistleblowers will come out that nobody can refute and bring out videos and other stuff with them and dare people to do anything about it. And then tell the ugly stuff that's been done and have all sorts of ugly stuff in a dead man's switch in 12 different places.
I get that.
Which is, I'm sure, what Grush has done, is has multiple dead man switches.
I think we are at the precipice of the rocks rolling back down the mountain.
So am I.
Okay, like it's like where they say, you get that point on the business mountain where 94% of all businesses fail because they can't get over the hump. I think that's where we are right now.
I think it's very close to going over the hump. And I'm worried that it's going to roll all the way to the bottom of the hill out of control, which we don't need.
And that still leads to my whole topic. We are not in a disclosure movement. We are in a confirmation movement.
We are not going to learn everything. So if you want to do confirmation with limited disclosing releases to try to tamp it down, I believe that.
Bob, if you were to look at the entire, and I'm not trying to sound oppressive here, but if we look at the entire topic right now, what do you believe they are scared of about disclosure?
The ugly stuff they have done, and that might include making an ugly contract with a non-human intelligence.
So that would confirm then the likelihood that Eisenhower did cut a deal.
If that would be a thing that I would do everything I could to keep it from being disclosed. And that's the kind of thing that just justifies this level of deception.
Are they covering up the secrets because back then in the 40s and 50s, they were just too naive to know?
That's number one. And number two, they were literally desperate to find something that would leapfrog the Soviet Union by 10 years so they could end them safely.
How do we know, though, that aliens didn't cut similar deals with Russia, China?
I don't know. I don't know that. I think we've been pretty good at implanting moles in those societies.
Mole, 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 mole. Right over Bob's head on that one. There, we finally got a snicker out of him. Do you think the government could survive a disclosure?
It would be very, very ugly. If they can wall it off and blame people that are dead, they could survive it. But there'll be lawsuits like you can't believe.
Now, when you say lawsuits, what do you mean by that for people who may not be?
Suppose we could figure out that from Roswell through 1960, a bunch of people were killed. The federal courts will allow the victims' families to sue the federal government for compensation. No federal judge would stand in the way of that lawsuit. You actually have to go to a federal court in the United States to get permission to sue the federal government. And that would happen, especially if they have evidence. What do you think that settlement would be worth? $1 trillion?
Could be.
$1 trillion class action lawsuit.
There's definitely some back pay on there.
Yep.
Definitely some back pay. All right, let's go to Whoopoo's question here. Bob, do you believe in the 20 and back SSP program? Do you think it's real?
I have seen no evidence that it is, other than Rick Doty talking about it. And if I don't know that that's evidence.
I believe
But
it's real.
if the entities can in fact time travel, that's possible.
Let's go back to Eric here. Disclosure would also make free energy and other technologies available.
Absolutely.
Do you think those technologies would ever get to the public?
I don't see how they can stop it.
Really?
The implications of these craft is that that's inherent. The logical implications tell us that exists.
I don't see the toys coming out to help the public.
I think we're getting. Okay, look. Let me tell you and your audience what the facts are. I hate to be Debbie Downer, but I'm going to be.
Please do.
If we stop burning fossil fuels tomorrow, it's too late. And so, if we had massive technology that would allow us to stop 2 billion people becoming climate, what do you call them? People that have to run. I've forgotten what you call it. My brain's not working. Anyway, refugees, climate refugees.
Right.
And the loss of arable land and potable water and thousands of species. If that's what that is the kind of thing it would take to arrest that and turn it around.
I just don't see the technologies, and I'm not trying to play Debbie Downer either, but I just don't see the U.S. government, much like they've done with everything. They got to play with it for 40, 50, 60 years until they can advance by it before the public gets any sort of usage out of it.
But what I'm telling you is climate change is bad enough that they are got to be worried, because the fall of civilization is what's coming. With 5% of the population surviving, ultimately.
Well, I mean, do we really need the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, if you could pick them
Really
out,
need the Montreal Canadiens or the Toronto Maple Leafs?
if you could isolate it to them.
Might have to. Might have to. Right? Michael is asking, as we got 2 minutes left, I've seen pics of UFO activity over Ukraine. What percentage do you think are NHI, and what percentage do you think are our own vehicles?
The orbs, I think, are NHI, and the triangles are ARVs. That's my opinion.
I'll give you that one.
If anybody had been with me and Lala on our back deck and seen that triangle fly right over our house or follow us down the road, they would know we have them. And according to Melinda Leslie, they pour out of the mountain near Sedona, Arizona every night for exercises.
I was told by somebody on the inside never to ask this person about black triangles or the SSP or whether or not we have bases on the moon.
I believe they're bases on the moon.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, and the Apollo 11 astronauts, they acted way too weird when they came back. And Neil Armstrong was so upset, he quit and taught school.
See if we can sneak in one more from Paramarv. What's the purpose of the Space Force? Going to be a way to normalize the alleged secret space program and bring those assets to the public?
No. The modern U.S. military and our allies runs their operations through space, through outer space. And our adversaries are building weapons to take out our assets. Now, we've got this leg up with Elon Musk being in the United States, but that's what they're for, is to defend our ability to communicate and control with our armed forces around the entire world.
Science Bob, 20 seconds to go. Let everybody know where your podcast is and when it's on.
So Lala and I do Orbis Paranormal on Tuesday nights at 9 on YouTube on the Orbis Paranormal channel. You can also view it on X, and we're going to be adding everywhere.
Good for you. Good for you. Science Bob, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show, my man. I love you.
And I'm going to go watch the astronauts walk in space.
You go do that. I'm going to continue on with hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio. This is the mighty SOR. Swamp Dweller is next.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
Chill Farm, you can hit up Science Bob privately on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you, Science Bob. Much love to you, buddy.
See you, pal.
For us, okay?
Yep.
We'll talk soon. There goes Science Bob. I'm going to disappear for a minute. We'll be right back with the next hour. Did my chair move? Anybody? My chair move? No? All right, we got about a minute to go here. Hi, Vanessa. Thank you to all of our super chatters tonight. Area 53, Grant ×2, Andrew, Flat 6, Mennonite Abe, Joe ×2, Android, Shack Valet, and Chill Farm for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love, everybody. Thank you very much. And don't forget to shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Hi, yes, no, maybe. How you doing? Don't forget to shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We got good stuff there. No ugly swag. Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Always appreciate you tuning us in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight. What do you got for us tonight, Clam? Well, let's take a look here, shall we? Let's take a look. Falsiloquence. Falsiloquence is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. I've lived my whole life, almost 30 years now, in Arkansas. Being raised a son of the South, it should go without saying that I spent a considerable amount of time in our state's vast woodlands, hunting, camping, and etc. So I never had any fear of the unknown depths of the forest, or whatever woodland critters reside there, until about 4 years ago. When I was a child, my parents moved us from a small town of Poyen out to the small town about 40 miles south of Little Rock. Both of my parents worked full-time jobs in order to pay off our new house, and had a significant swath of land bordering my grandfather's land. So through much of my early childhood, and after school later on, I would go and spend time with my grandpa until my parents got home. He was a sweet old man, kind of an old hippie. About once a week, he would ask me to go on a walk with him through the forest, and in time, before I had cable or Xbox, I would totally gladly agree to go. Anything to get me out of the house and my own boredom. Every walk was the same, about a half-mile trip down a well-worked path, past a large pit at the edge of the tree line he would burn trash in, through some sandy marsh that was dry almost year-round, and eventually to a large oak tree with a hollowed knot growing on it about chest high. When we got there, he would reach into his jacket pocket and pull out 3 or 4 eggs he would leave in the hollow. The first time I asked him why he did this, He told me that before there was a church on every corner, people used to live and die and pray in the forest. That the forest was more than just trees and squirrels, and that it looked after people. All of this sounded like religious nonsense to me. I had already had several headbutting arguments with my parents at this point over religion, and them being devout Baptists, and I putting my faith more in a good Remington than some man in the clouds. I honestly never paid much attention to it after that. I still accompanied him on his walks, and just thought of him as a kooky old man who dropped too much acid in the 70s. Until about 4 years ago, when he died. He left me his house and his land, and I moved in right quick, eager to make it out of the shitty little apartment I had ended up in some 40 miles away. My parents had split up and both moved to different states by then, so it was comforting on some level to go back to a place where I spent so much of my early life. In about a week's time after moving in, I had a good bit of trash to burn. Some of my stuff, but mostly my grandpa's old junk he never got around to tossing out. It was mid-autumn by this point, but still way too hot during the day to have a fire, so I waited till about dusk, grabbed the last few bags of trash and some freezer-burned food, and made my way to the pit. I had the fire blazing after a couple of minutes. The last slivers of sunlight had dropped below the forest, making the only light the tall, flickering flames dancing off the trees around me. I sat down on an old stump and lit a cigarette as I watched the flames. I was so deeply enthralled in the orange and red dance I had forgotten to throw the last load of trash in the pit. So I stood and kicked the 2 bags into the flame and began unwrapping all the freezer-burned ground beef, peas, and steaks, throwing their contents into the trees and the plastic into the flames. It wasn't until I threw the last steak, a big frosty T-bone, beside a corpse of smooth white bark birch trees, that something happened. I heard something low and rumbling. Not quite a growl, but far from being a comforting sound. Then one of the branches of one of the smaller birches began to bend, almost like it was falling in slow motion. Then it extended out, and I saw from the firelight with horror that what I had previously thought were long little branches were gnarled, impossibly long fingers, ending in savage points. They sunk into the cold meat, and something half stepped out of the cover of the trees. It was hunched down and thin, but I could tell it would be a good foot over my head. It looked at me the whole time. It slowly dragged the meat over to itself. His eyes reflected no light, and I couldn't make out any facial characteristics, except a mouth too wide for its head, filled with canines. It brought the steak to its mouth, and with a sickening crunch ripped a piece off. I didn't see much after that. I guess I had been standing and slowly backing away, because the next clear thought I had was when I was sprinting back to the house where I bolted the door and loaded my shotgun. I sat up all night, my head swimming with questions. Grandpa had never said anything about a creature living in the woods, but come morning I was convinced that's why he left those eggs out every week. A few days later, when I had the nerve to step foot back into the forest, I went with a pocket full of eggs and placed them in the hollow just like he used to do. I haven't seen or heard anything like what happened that night 4 years ago. Yet, once a week, every week, I'll make a trip into the forest and leave my offering. Yet to this day, I have not once stepped anywhere near the tree line after dark.
Thank you to Swamp Dweller for another great spooky story. If you want more just like that, head on over to his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads. And with that, it's time for the UFO report.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer. You have made me very angry. Very angry indeed.
Little Timmy James back in the studio here of Spaced Out Radio HQ, hanging out with us, talking some UFOs. How you doing, my friend? I'm not doing too bad. Not too good show with Science, Bob.
Yeah. I'm just going to sit back now because you guys talked about all the stuff I wanted to talk about, so I'll just stare at the camera for a while.
Oh, yes. Thank God the radio audience can't see your face.
That's right. Very disappointing.
I'm very happy about that personally. For you and me, that's for sure.
Have a face for radio.
And a voice for print over here.
Thank you.
Lots going on right now.
Yeah, there is. Obviously, with the new book coming out, obviously you guys were covering it through the last couple of hours. Yeah, just interesting. You know, I don't know. What I'm finding is that there's a lot of people jumping on the bandwagon that all of a sudden they feel the need to speak and write books. Well, I shouldn't say that. I mean, obviously the books have been, you know, up and comings, but there's a lot of people that are all of a sudden coming out of the woodwork that are describing, you know, no, we saw this and we saw that and all that sort of good stuff. I was looking, you know, obviously perusing a bunch of stuff today, and it looks like a lady named Sarah Gam. She is a former UAP task force member, and she was interviewed by Matt Ford, and she was actually about 2 or 3 different interviews in the last 24 hours. And like I say, yeah, she was a UAP task force member, and she was saying that what her group saw, an object that was described as a flying brain, and obviously not made here on Earth. So I mean, just, you know, little blurbs and excerpts of what she saw and what she claims to have seen and what the group saw. But the intriguing part is that she also said that when they tried to report it to Arrow, and it was her and the other members of the UAP task force, Arrow's comment to him was they didn't want anything to do with it.
What?
Yep. Didn't want anything to do with it. So
Time out a second.
yeah,
Arrow. Kirkpatrick.
I know.
That's your job.
Yeah, right.
That's your job. You wanted UFO reports.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just pick and choose and say, yeah, we're not working UFOs today. This is what I don't understand about these guys.
Right.
Okay, or Sean Kirkpatrick.
Go.
You know, just let me rant here.
Yeah,
for a
go
second.
for it.
You have one of the greatest jobs in humanity. Literally one of the greatest jobs in humanity. And here you are denying the existence or even wanting the report of what other team members are actually doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it just goes to show how disengaged Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick was. Like, he took that position like he was asked to go live in Siberia.
Mm-hmm.
Run a jail cell a jail in Siberia. I realize I'm a UFO geek, but I can tell you this, man. If I had that job, knowing that you literally know the real story of what is going on with ET life and potentially humanity,
Right.
I'm taking that gig, man.
No kidding. No kidding. And that's not the first time that I've come across something like that. There's been other people that have reported that, you know, were in the know or part of some sort of group that was involved with obviously studying and researching UFOs, and reporting and saying, this is what we've seen. And yeah, I've seen lots of little excerpts where they don't say Kirkpatrick, but Arrow didn't want anything to do with it. They were denied that, yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah, that's not in our wheelhouse and stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, it is. And that's another thing that I just see a lot of commonality in some of the news reports and stuff. Seem that, you know, not a big surprise, but kind of a surprise that Arrow didn't want. Yeah, no, we're good.
You know, imagine. Well, we see it happening. I'm going to use a baseball analogy here because, you know me, I love my sports.
Yeah.
Okay, we see the Oakland A's,
Mm-hmm.
which are, I think their average attendance this year has been about 11,000 fans.
Okay,
because we know they're going to be moving to Las Vegas soon.
Mm-hmm.
And here I'm thinking about it. You know, you have a general manager who literally says, hey, we could get this player in free agency pretty cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go get him, make our ball club better.
Yeah.
And ownership saying, no, we don't need those 40 home runs a year. We're good.
Yeah.
We're good without him.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, hey, would you like to win a ball game? No. I don't want to win a game. Why would I want to do that? You know, we're good. We're
Yeah.
good. We're good winning 67 out of 162 ball games in a year.
Perfect.
Yeah, we got lucky in a couple of them. One more, and holy cow.
Yeah, no kidding. No, I'm just I find it very funny. I find it intriguing, but then again, and we could, this just goes down the rabbit hole. We've discussed it before. Was he told just to shut up and do a job? Who knows? But yeah, it's just funny that I see a lot of all of a sudden since Lou's book come out, it just seems that maybe this might have felt or given people the feeling that they can freely speak a little more about stuff. I don't know. But yeah, the arrow thing's just like whatever. But also, speaking of Mr. Elizondo, what's his name? Tim Burchett or Birch.
Burchett.
Yeah. He commented, he was in an interview recently or today, I think it was, and he commented on the threats that Lou Elizondo has been receiving, right? He said, his quote was, "I'd be nervous every time I got on an airplane, every time I turned the switch on in my car. These people are ruthless. It has nothing to do with political parties. It's about power and money. They kill people. There's no questions." And so I went to the video and he was talking about contractors. And I was like, holy cow. And it was like probably about a minute and 20-second video blurb. I was like, I understood that Lou was getting threats. And I mean that, but I was like, he came out and it's on tape. Like I watched him doing it. I was like, wow, that's a pretty
Well, let's talk about that for a second, because we have heard many over the years, ufologists and people within government getting, questioned, shall we say.
Fair enough.
Many people call it the Men in Black.
Yep.
Others say that there is a few government bullies that, that stuff is only supposed to happen when Russia was communist.
Right.
And places like China and other dictatorship type of industries. I mean, hell, Kim Jong-un proving his point. What does he do? He puts his uncle in the middle of the square and, launches a missile at him.
Yeah.
That could take down a fighter jet. That you get many people pushing the ranks on that.
Oh yeah. No
but
question.
but with Elizondo, I do know that he has been threatened. I've talked to people who are close to him, talked to him myself. And it's not just the government who has been threatening him. There are wackadoos within the UFO community who don't like him,
right?
Who have literally doxed him, his wife, his children, and literally have been saying that, sending them all death threats.
Yeah.
And to his wife and 2 daughters, worse. Okay. And when you look at this, I mean, people out there listening, I realize that every time somebody becomes famous or controversial, there are people out there who are dangerous.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching a clip of Taylor Swift the other day talk about how many people she's had to put restraining orders against because they literally thought they were in a committed relationship with Taylor Swift. I mean, there are stalkers out there. There are nut bars who think that because they support Elizondo or they don't support Elizondo, that they are going to drive a lot of damage to the people who are causing harm or to Elizondo himself. It's sad that we have to do that we have to worry about that. And whether or not you like Elizondo or you think he's full of it, and there are many people on both sides of the border.
Sure.
Okay. There's no need to threaten someone's life over a UFO.
No, not at all. No.
I mean, some people take it too far. I mean, look at the World Cup of Soccer a number of years ago, where I believe a Brazilian soccer player was shot dead because he missed a goal.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody in the public was so upset about that.
Yeah.
They murdered him.
Yep. No, that's true.
Right.
That's true. Yeah. And Rob and I talked about it last week, and we kind of went off. We both went off on a rant, and a supportive rant of each other. But yeah, it was the same thing. It was like, we may not agree. And we may think somebody's completely off base, but where does the violence and where does the want to hurt somebody come from? Like, it doesn't make any sense. We all have different opinions. Let it go, right? Like, let it go. You know, like you said, over a UFO or over a soccer game or over, you know, the latched Furby at Walmart. I don't know. Like, let's get real, people. Right?
I remember as a kid,
Mhm.
you just triggered something in me.
Uh-oh,
I
sorry.
remember as a kid, remember in the old Kmart's where they had the restaurant?
Yes.
Okay. Well, my grandpa,
Mhm.
every time I went to visit them, because I was a real grandpa's boy,
Yeah.
he would take me to Kmart for French fries and gravy.
Oh, nice.
But back then I called them chips and gravy.
Yeah.
And I would get a root beer or an
Mhm.
orange Fanta.
Yep.
Now Orange Crush.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when they released the Cabbage Patch Kids
Yeah.
and watching the brawl that happened in front of me when they brought out a skid of Cabbage Patch Kids
Oh my God.
to put on the shelves. They didn't even make it to the shelf. They put the Kmart blue light special on.
Oh yeah.
All right. Remember that?
I do.
The old blue light, police light.
Yep.
And boom, there were ladies chucking knuckles, and I've never seen women throw like that before and haven't since.
Oh man.
Right?
Yes. That made news, didn't it?
Well, it was all over the place.
For sure.
But it just goes to show that sometimes people in certain situations
yeah.
cannot control their emotions.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you get people out there who see a street fight,
Mhm.
they run right to it, either with their
Yeah.
camera or to join in.
Yeah, that's true.
Old Davey, as much as I was a fighter in hockey,
Mm-hmm.
at least I knew in hockey that in 30 seconds to a minute, it was over.
Yeah.
Maybe a minute 10.
Yeah.
And at a minute 10, it wasn't the linesman breaking you up. It was you whispering in the guy's ear, I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
tired.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's shut her down.
Exactly. And you go for a beer after.
Absolutely.
No, that's funny. Also, another little tidbit. Representative Anna Paulina Luna has confirmed that the next congressional UFO hearing will be led by Representative Nancy Mace, who said the following, quote, "If this is really going on, it'll be the biggest story in history, not just our history, but the world's history."
Oh my God.
Dun, dun, dun.
You know what? No offense to Nancy Mace.
No.
Okay. But have you not been following along the last couple of years while the hearings have been going on? You've been sitting in that position
Mm-hmm.
and you just woke up to the fact that this is in the news, that this is a possibility, even though people like Luna and Burchett and Gillibrand and Gates and AOC and Mark Werner and all of these people have been talking about this. Marco Rubio, another one,
Mm-hmm.
have been talking about this in Congress and the Senate for literally the last couple of years. And now you're going to say, well, if this is going on, this could be the biggest story in humanity's history. No blank, Sherlock.
Well, it's like that kid in the back of the classroom that picked his team captain and hasn't been paying attention all year, right? It's like, oh, hey, all right. So I've got to say something positive. Yeah, it was just funny because, I mean, we both said, you know, love the name Anna Paulina Luna. It's very cool. So I was reading through it and I was like, is that ever a weird comment? And similar thoughts as you. I was like, well, where have you been? How is this, you know? Oh my gosh, great news.
Well, you know, I find that insulting. If that's what she said, okay, if that's truly what she said,
Yeah.
somebody's got to take her Cabbage Patch Kid doll away.
Yeah, you're in
Okay.
timeout, sister.
You're in timeout. Well, let's continue this when we return, as the UFO report is brought to you by Tim James's own beard. Yep, his own beard bringing you this spot tonight on the UFO report. Tim James, my name is Dave Scott. We will be right back, everybody, for the final half hour.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
Oh, by the way,
Yes.
Ken, you know how last weekend we were going to try and clean something?
Yes.
Can I give that to you?
Sure.
Because I know you're not too busy during the days.
Absolutely. No, I'll do it for you. No worries.
All right.
Get her nice and shady.
Before I forget,
Yeah.
which one is it in? Oh, is
Uh,
it this one?
I think it was the large one, I thought.
No, I got it in this one.
Okay, cool. You get her all spiffied up.
Get it all spiffied up for Saturday.
Yeah. For Saturday. Saturday or Sunday?
Well, we'll go Saturday night.
Oh, right. Yeah.
When I get off work, we'll go.
Okay, cool.
I mean, daylight still,
It's true.
right?
Dave's excited about going hunting.
Serious.
Yeah, no kidding.
I know I'm gonna like be one of these guys who like chickens out, right? With
Nah, I doubt it.
chicken on the chickens.
Nope. I don't think you will. You'll have the fever the first time. You'll be like, oh yeah. It's just like, whoa, breathe.
Such a sexy sound.
Yes, it is.
A very sexy sound.
Yeah.
Should we do that one more time?
Do it again.
Oh, sexy sound.
Yes. There is something about that sound.
Shit.
Uh-oh. Dave's wrecking the joint.
Totally wrecking the joint.
That's okay. It wasn't anything important, was it?
Oh,
Yeah.
just
Something else? A pointy stick?
a pointy stick and my notepad.
Uh-oh.
and my sticky notes.
Oh, yes.
Where am I? Oh yeah, there I am. I think Cabbage Patch Kids back then, it was expensive. It was like $50.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
doll.
I think it's so too.
Uh,
Yeah, and it was the rage.
oh yeah.
Dave just broke the toy UFO. What?
No, I didn't break anything.
No, thank goodness.
Nope, we'll just put that one back.
He's breaking stuff now.
Keep that off the camera. I don't
No.
I don't want YouTube to get upset.
Yes, even though it is a tool. Okay, you're good.
Now we're good. We got 2.5 minutes after all that.
Oh, wow.
Well, look at that.
Exactly. I think you wiped my camera too.
No,
No.
did I? Hold on.
Maybe I think I'm a little bit.
I may have. There we go.
There. Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, that's gooder. Whoa.
There we go.
That's way gooder.
Way gooder. That is a sexy sound, though.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And that's the sound that'll scare the bejesus out of you too when you're not ready for it. And
Oh, there is no kaboom here. There is totally no kaboom.
no,
Under Canadian law, there's not allowed to be any kaboom.
no. Well, for sure.
In Dear Leaders world,
Oh gosh.
we're surprised we even still have kabooms, pointy sticks.
No, exactly. I'm not sure.
Look at Bomber. Don't mind Dave. He's just throwing a rifle around like the little good Canadian boy.
That's right.
Did you know per population capita, I think Canada is number 2 or 3 in gun ownership?
Yeah. No, that wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me. Well, we've got all that stuff. I mean, I in the States, I get it. I've seen lots of hunting and stuff
Oh,
down
yeah.
there. That's great. But we've got Up above us, there's nothing.
I know.
Right? That's the difference.
I know.
So
Yes. Yes. More pointy sticks.
mhm.
You know, it's funny. Every time I have a fisherman's friend,
Yeah.
right afterwards, I get the coughs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know why. Every time.
Originals or cherry?
They're the cherry ones. The
Yeah.
originals are horrible.
Yeah, they are, but they work.
All right. 20 seconds. Thank you to Area 53, Grant ×2, Trucker Andrew, Flat 6, Mennonite Abe, Joe ×2, Android, Shack Valet, and Chill Farm. Appreciate the love, everybody.
Ooh.
We're going to get going in like 12 seconds. Shop at the Spaced Out Radio Store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Here we go. In like 5 seconds. No ugly swag. You can wear our stuff more places than just your garden to work. Let's kick off the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Good evening to you as we continue on with the UFO report. Little Timmy James. Reminder, though, before we get going, that all of our archives are always free. You know why we keep them free? Tim, do you know why we keep them free?
No, why do we keep them free, Dave?
Let me tell you a true story why we keep our archives free. Back when I was a college student and I listened to a certain nighttime radio show, they charged $10 a month to be a part of their archives.
Okay.
And I was a broke college student, and I had to drive literally an hour to, depending on traffic, a day just to get to school. And it was either radio show support or gas in the vehicle.
Right.
And considering I had triple the amount of gas being spent than everybody else.
Yep.
And then I could never hear the segments that I wanted to hear, like UFO stuff,
Right.
ghost stuff. So I said, you know what? Because I'm in school for radio. If I ever get my own show, I would always keep the archives free, because I know there are people out there who just don't have that $5, that $10 to afford to listen to previous shows. So I said, screw it. Our archives, I have one rule for my SOR team. Our archives will never be paid.
Perfect.
You will never have to pay for an archive on SOR. Why? Because I was in those shoes. And there were interviews that I wanted to hear that I never got to hear, all because I couldn't afford that $10 a month. So our archives are always free. You can find them on YouTube or on any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here's little Timmy James. We are doing the UFO report, and right before the break, we were talking about Anna Paulina Luna and Nancy Mace, who's going to lead the next charge into the UFO hearings.
Yeah.
It's funny that they say that a date is going to be in September, but we don't know who, what, where, when, why yet.
No. Nope, not at all. Not at all. And the questions are being asked. And a lot of stuff that I've been reading and watching, they just keep, it's September. It's coming in September. And pretty quick. No, it's on my calendar, but they definitely are not giving dates. They're not saying, So is this another red herring, or I don't know.
I'm actually surprised that they are going to be doing these hearings, knowing that they're literally under 2 months until election.
Right.
Like, what is the purpose of doing this right before an election, and a major election? Look, one way or the other, 50% of the American population is going to be pissed off.
100%.
For 4 years, they're going to be upset.
You betcha.
Okay. So I am surprised that they are going to be doing that so close. Now, I realize, just because there's an election coming up, that you just can't shut down government. The conversations and people still have to work.
Yeah.
I get that. I can appreciate that. But in this kind of topic, I'm surprised. What's your thoughts?
Thinking the same way is like, I'm questioning it too. It's like, what the heck are they doing it now for? So my theory, well, I guess my best guess on this, and it's an assumption and speculation, are they trying to do this because nobody will pay attention to it, and they'd be able to just kind of ramrod anything and everything through? Nobody, it's not going to be, and like to us, it'd be an event. Obviously, we want to know what's going on. We want to hear it. We want to be able to see the videos and interviews and all that sort of stuff. But is this happening this soon to just put like a blanket over it, right? Like you said, this is a very, very important election for the people of the United States and, Canada and everybody else. So the focus is there, in my opinion. So this is happening in the background, even though it is supposed to be a big thing. I'm kind of wondering if this was just a bit of a scheduled, planned event, right? So that's my thought.
Well, we're going to see how it turns out, because whatever comes out of this hearing could affect what happens in the voting or vetoing of the NDAA and the UFO Act inside of it, or UAP Act, or whatever they call it down there. But I wonder though how this hearing also may affect what's happening in Canada, because in the next few weeks, Sky Canada Project is supposed to be coming out as well. And we're all highly anticipating the report from Canada's top scientist, Dr. Mona Nemer.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, went at this at a diplomatic way, not in a threat narrative way.
True.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out so closely, because there might only be a 2 to maybe 3 week window in between, if that.
Yeah, true. And again, I think that they said, October, or they said early fall. I don't recall, and I just don't want to just say something like I remember it. But yeah, I think that Canada's, is supposed to be in October, early fall. So yeah, I'm not sure. I just find that everything just kind of got piled up. And yeah, especially not with us so much. Well, we've got our elections coming up too. So but yeah, it seems a little bit more chaotic down to our brothers and sisters down in the South. That's for sure. So we'll have to wait and see.
We are going to wait and see what happens. What else do you have for us?
I've got this date in history.
Lovely.
Yeah. So they're always fun little stories, and it's this one I found kind of neat. This one is about the death of a horse 50 years ago. In what was it, San Luis Valley. And let's see here, get it to the right spot. So in 1967, in September, a 3-year-old saddle horse named Lady, belonging to Nellie Lewis of the Harry King Ranch in San Luis Valley, Colorado, the horse was found dead a couple of days after it had gone missing. The animal appeared to have been skinned from the neck to the shoulders, which was nothing and left nothing but bleached bones. So the cut in the neck apparently looked quite smooth and surgical, and the soil beneath the horse was damp, and there was a medicine-like smell. So this is coming from the witnesses and the people that were there. When the Alamosa County Sheriff, Ben Phillips, arrived on the scene, he blamed Lady's death on lightning. So I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So a few days later, rangers at the Great Sand Dunes arrested a guy named John Henry Alschuler. He's a pathologist at Ross Medical Center in Denver. He was. So they arrested him for trespassing after dark. He'd actually gone to the area to look for UFOs. When they found out he was a specialist in blood coagulation, the ranger said, "Hey, look, we'll cut you a deal. If you come, and we'll drop the arrest and everything like that, if you come with us and take a look at this dead horse." So only in way back in the day. It's like, okay, sure. So the doctor found that Lady's lungs, heart, and thyroid were completely missing, and that there was complete absence of blood, which to him was quite distressing. So he begins to think the dead horse has something to do with the UFOs that he had seen when he was out on the sand dunes. So Nellie Lewis, the owner of the horse, also admitted that she had been watching something very strange in the skies for a few nights, and it was after the horse had gone missing as well. So also involved in the investigation was Dwayne Martin, and he was a U.S. Forest Service Ranger. He recorded a pulse of unusually high radioactivity near Lady's carcass, although other officials said it was only background radiation. Okay, my brain goes, what is a park ranger doing with a Geiger counter? Just, it was one of those reading it. It was like, you've got a Geiger counter and you were reading. Okay, cool. So the paper, the Pueblo Chieftain, reported on the case in its October 5th edition of that year. A copy of the edition was picked up by the AP pathologist Robert O. Adams, chief of surgery at Colorado State University's College of Veterinary Medicine. Adams found the story intriguing, and he decided that he was going to investigate some of this too. So he did it for what they called the Colorado Project, or a Colorado Project. After his investigation, he concluded that bacteria, birds, and coyotes were responsible for the lack of blood and organs. He also found an infection in the horse's right flank that could have killed it, and he assumed that the cut in the neck might have been someone's mercy killing. He explained they'd found exhaust burn marks.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, right. And he said, so he explained those away because they were most likely fungal infestations, and there was.
I didn't know fungus caused burn marks.
Yeah, apparently.
Hold on, let's Google this.
Yeah.
Does fungus cause burn marks? Well, let's see here.
Google says
a fungal rash is often red and it itches or burns.
That's in your skin.
You may have red swollen bumps like pimples or scaly flat flaky patches.
Yeah.
Okay. No burn marks.
Yeah, but in the dirt. Yeah. So, okay, Google says So
I am a Google researcher. Look at that.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Dave.
Hey, I'm the guy.
So beside the burn marks, there was a bunch of indents in the ground surrounding the burn marks, right? So this Adam says that the marks were probably weathered hoof prints. So they were perfectly symmetrical around the exhaust marks. So it looked like something landed, rested on the ground, done whatever they'd done to the horse, right? So this is a whole bunch of people check this out and they're all dismissing it, right? And again, we're talking about way in the 60s. So as of today, there are no concrete conclusions to the mystery. But apparently, yeah, it's still the talk in Colorado. Like this horse 50 years ago, everybody's still wondering what's happened to it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And again, everybody washing it off as not a UFO, but yeah, that was kind of cool.
It sounds like aliens to me. I mean, that almost sounds like animal mutilation.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, again, back then, probably not a lot of it going on, or not. I mean, the way that I'm looking at it too is obviously technology back then. We've got immediate access to news, right? These guys they had no idea. And the world was so huge. I'm sure that most of this was just to, first of all, officials didn't know what was going on, like your town sheriff and stuff like that. But yeah, they just kept it contained in their little town. It was all okay. It was all a big mistake, and it went away, right? Until the world got smaller and people started talking, obviously.
I look at that as something that should be investigated.
Yeah.
We see a lot of this happening. I know in our areas, a lot of the ranchers around here, even though it's not public, have claimed to find cattle mutilations and strange happenings to some of their cattle.
I actually know one person that I'm not going to give names out. Very long time lineage in this town. And he spoke to me a couple of times, and other people there, and he's totally said it. I don't know what happened to it. That's not a wolf. He says, I've been doing this for over 70 years. That wasn't a wolf. That wasn't a cow, or whatever. That wasn't a cougar. He goes, this is weird.
Animals, what they fool you on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not a big animal expert.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not,
No.
I'm brand new to, hunting and everything like that.
Sure.
But the one thing that I do know about animals, they don't use a fork and knife.
No.
There is no fork and knife. You don't see a 200-pound mountain lion putting a napkin around its neck and then grabbing its utensils to say, okay, I'm just going to slice here and take a piece of the neck fat, because there are people out there who actually eat turkey necks, which I think is thoroughly disgusting.
It is.
I worked with a guy like that. He was a turkey neck kind of guy.
Really? Okay.
Yep. But, that's terrible. Terrible. But, I mean, you don't see a cougar doing that. You don't see a bear. They rip and shred their meals.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. The first thing a predator animal does, and this is good safety for humans too.
Right.
When you're walking in the forest, always check your six, because if the animals are coming down on you, they're always going to go for your neck, because a snap neck on anything equals a free meal.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And that's why they grab the neck, and their mouths are usually big enough to go right around to cut off the air supply to the jugular.
Oh, no question.
Especially on a human neck. Or a horse's neck would be harder to break, but either way.
No.
And that's a lot of times why when you find animal carcasses in the wild, the head is always away from the body.
Yep.
Because the head is the first thing to disconnect after the spine is snapped.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they rip, you've been a hunter for a long time.
For sure.
They rip the animals apart. So when you get cuts and slices in these animals that are cleaner than the sharpest of hunting knives, there's where you have to scratch your head.
Well, for sure. And the thing is, again, speaking with the gentleman that I know, the things that are taken and that are missing, I should say, and like you say, surgically cut, there's nothing of quality or substance that a human would, want, right? Like ears being removed. He's told me about that. Completely just gone. Obviously the ravens get to them and they know what they do with the eyes of things right up here. But yeah, exactly. It's almost surgical precision. And anytime, like you say, I've been out in the bush and I've seen animals destroyed by wolf packs and what have you. And yeah, deer, there is stuff all over the place. There's no delicacy to it, right? They just go for it.
That's what I'm saying. They're not going to be sitting there,
For sure.
mountain lion looking over a deer. Pardon me, do you have any Grey Poupon?
No, for sure.
Hell, we've already mentioned Cabbage Patch Kids in this episode,
right?
So we might as well throw in some Grey Poupon as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, but it's just interesting. In 50 years, and they're still trying to figure out what happened with this thing, right? Good luck to you.
You and I are going to have a conversation, because if you know a local cattle farmer,
yep, I know a couple of them, yep,
that have had these incidents happen, because I'm on the trek to find out where this is happening.
Oh, you'll know who it is as soon as we're not on the air, and I tell you, you'll know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, because I know there are 3 ranches around here that are being investigated.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
3.
Well,
maybe more.
Yeah. Well, like I say, this one, as soon as we're done, you'll know who I'm. As soon as I say,
I hate holding that from the audience, but I understand why.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
There are certain things. Now, in this story, when you looked into it, was there any UFO sightings in the area around that time?
Only the gentleman that got arrested, he had seen them, but the owner of the horse, the lady that owned the horse, had been watching, like, the horse disappeared, and then she had said that she'd been watching weird, strange lights in the night sky for a few nights. Then they stumble across a horse, and I guess that was obviously that's what she was focusing on. So yeah, there was alleged UFO sightings from 2 of the people out there anyway. So, and then that's the other thing too, is like I say, the burn marks in the ground. We Googled it, and yeah, I don't know how, like you say, no burn mark is fungal, I would suspect. And yeah, and then having a perfect ring of prints around the burn marks. Yeah. When a horse starts going crazy too, or any animal, big animal like moose and stuff like that, when they get those brain worms,
Yeah.
they go crazy. Like there's no, it's not like they're going around and just trotting. So yeah, a lot of baloney from the officials there for sure, and just trying to sweep it under the carpet as far as I'm concerned. But it would be interesting to find out what if someday they do find out. But
Well, you know what? The one other mystery that we talked about just last night when we were talking with Daryl Denton on Bigfoot,
yeah,
when it comes to horses too, is, you know, these neck braids, these actual intricate braids that are put in. Now, a lot of times what you'll see, and I've talked to people around here with horses, where they actually call them fairy braids.
Oh, okay.
Where it almost looks like the mane or the tail turns into like a dreadlock.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That they believe is caused by, you know, rubbing against certain weeds or whatever. But the braids that are actually done by Sasquatch seem to be a lot more patterned and a lot more intricate, like you would braid with your hands. And,
sure.
you know, I gotta say, you're a daughter dad. I'm a daughter dad.
Oh yeah.
I used to love to braid my daughter's hairs, man.
Yeah, for sure. Me too.
You know, but that's just something that is interesting. And you don't hear a lot of horse cases in regards to this, but you definitely do hear a lot more with cattle, for instance. But
yeah,
I can understand why, because I mean, it's just so darn good.
Yeah, it is. Gotta love the beef, man.
Oh, what I wouldn't do for a good steak right now.
Yeah, nice big ribeye.
Oh yeah. I'm a sirloin guy.
Are you?
Total sirloin guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
nice 20 ounce.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Oh,
steak, meat. Right? But I really do enjoy a ribeye.
And now we'll leave you with this. Is Mike in our chat room says Dave braids his back hair. On that time, it's time to say goodnight. And hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight, including YouTube, Twitch, Elga, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. That was good.
Yeah, it was. Uh-oh. Mothman. I am Tim James. That was really good. I love the way that the outro ends like that.
Oh, yeah, it's powerful.
I know. I love it.
Just one last hardcore strum in there.
Doom, 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 doom.
Oh yeah, Mr. B does a good job on that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do 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 do.
Timothy James, actually. Yeah, that's me. Oh, I love it. We go from this kind of high temperature thing again to rain and cold. I think we got fall on its way. It was the first day of fall. Okay. No, 22nd. Yeah, I've seen the pictures, Mothman, you on your Facebook page. That's a disconcerting feeling. I mean, we've been through it too, but watching those hills and the smoke roll off those hills and that fire, the fires at night. Yeah. I'm sorry you guys are going through that, my friend.
All right. Just had to fill out a quick survey.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I love surveys. I do. I'm a survey guy.
Really?
Yeah. I'm a
Okay.
survey guy.
So do you get anything for it, or you just like filling them out? Like points or something, or
no, it's just one of our platforms asked for a survey.
oh, okay. I get you.
And I usually will fill out surveys. Even when like the survey people call my house.
Yeah. You'll do them?
I'll do them.
I do. I'm on the Angus Reid survey thing. They send it to me.
Uh-huh.
And I just, whatever. I don't mind doing that, but I hate when people call me and.
Oh, I love it.
Do you really? Hey.
Oh yeah. Oh, I love it.
Cool.
I even love it when the call centers from India call in telling me that I'm late on my credit card payment or that my Apple ID has been compromised. I love those.
Yeah, that's when they're scamming you.
Oh, love them.
Yeah, that's different.
Love them.
Yeah. There's lots of on the YouTube channel.
Oh, I know.
I've seen those too.
Shout out to Pierogi and his team. Have you ever seen Pierogi? Where you call? I think his channel's called Scammers Payback.
Yes.
Yeah, Pierogi there. He's got like 17 million subscribers or something like that.
And he
he is so dogged. He is so dogged. You know, I love what he does. Yeah, I honestly try and waste as much time as possible. I had one. I've never owned Bitcoin before. I had one from Europe calling me. There was this British guy on the phone. And I'm like, oh, you want to buy my Bitcoin? He's like, no, we want to sell you a Bitcoin. I said, well, why would I buy it if I'm trying to sell mine? I had him on the hook for 3 weeks.
Oh, no way.
3 weeks. He was calling me every couple days to buy my Bitcoin. Okay. And I think it was going for about 90,000 a coin at that point.
Okay.
It was just a couple months ago.
Right.
And it was going for like 90,000 a Bitcoin. And gosh, I thought I swindled him back. I thought I was real close to swindling him back. Because he went silent for about, oh, goodness. He went silent for about a week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, he called me back up. Hey, do you still have those 4 Bitcoin? I said, I told you it was 5. Oh yeah, sorry, it was 5 Bitcoin. I said,
Hmm.
no, I sold them. I said, I gave you guys first crack. I just
No.
didn't want to play the game anymore.
Yeah,
right?
of course. I get it. Yeah.
I said, I gave you guys first crack and you didn't. I said, all I asked you from the beginning before you played games,
Mhm.
I asked you for fair market value on what they would sell for today.
Yeah.
I said it would have put about $400,000 in my pocket.
Right.
And I said, you guys screwed up. I sold them. Click. Right. I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, I
Oh.
love playing those guys.
Yeah, that's
The problem is the Indian people now who are doing it, they're getting very
savvy.
skittish.
Oh.
They're getting very skittish
Mm-hmm.
where if they even hear you on speakerphone,
Oh,
they immediately hang up now.
Oh, okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The outro and intro song are both Little Brother Is Watching by Bumblefoot. If you go to our website, click on Bumblefoot, we actually have a link to it right there. Or just go to YouTube, type in Bumblefoot, Little Brother Is Watching.
There we go.
Yeah. That's how we roll.
Rolling.
Oh, you mean the end of the show one. The end of the show one, like the horse one. Oh hell, I forget that one.
It's actually in the description, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that one lands in the description of the show.
Yeah.
Once everything is done.
Yeah, just click on the more button, and I think there's about 4 of them in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a quiet evening in the studio, people.
It is quiet.
You're tired. I'm tired.
Oh, I had a bugger of a day.
Yes.
I had a bugger of the day. Today, I almost walked out of my job.
Mm-hmm.
Almost walked out of my job today.
Nothing worse. Like, obviously, you and I were talking about it before air, and I'm not going to give anything away, but it that is the worst feeling in the world. Getting up in the morning and just detesting having to go into work. And there's only one job that's ever really happened to me before, and I did end up quitting. But yeah, I like going to work, like we've said, to have fun and, have a good time, do your job. But it's, you spend more time there than you do with your family. So kind of, got to lighten it up a bit. Yeah, some people can just ruin it. That's too bad.
Yep. Oh, I hear you. My big thing about it is I love my boss, my new boss. Loved my old boss.
Well, yeah. Super cool guy.
The new boss I really dig. He's high strung, but I dig him.
Yeah, it sounds like he likes you a lot too and respects you. So,
yeah. More sexy noise, Dave. It's put away right now. That was a sexy noise.
Yes.
Yeah.
Racket.
I had some newbies the other day who were in my daytime office. They were thinking of moving up here.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, "What? Well, what's the crime like?" So I don't know. I said, "Not very existent." She goes, "Oh, even with all the Lower Mainlanders moving up," I said, "You need to realize something here. Okay, people learn very quick that almost every house in this area is armed.
Yeah,
and people know how to use them.
Yep. And the other thing is, I mean, the only thing that up here, I guess, would be Hotel Row on the south end of town, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, people with very bad addictions and things like that tend to need money to survive. So it's kind of But other than that, you get some lurkers. Like in our community chats, you get there was somebody wandering down the street and whatever. And
oh yeah.
But again, usually up here, everybody's pretty cognizant of.
I'm getting sick of the bear trolling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, there's a bear on Block Drive.
I
Glenson has a bear.
I know.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
This one lady who was acting all paranoid on her post the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I said, how lucky are you getting to watch a beautiful black bear do beautiful black bear things?
Yeah. Yeah.
Welcome to the country.
Exactly.
You son of a motherless goat.
Oh, I know. It's like the same with the deer, all the mule deer, right? I like them.
Hey, you are hearing prime time grade A small town community issues right now on Spaced Out Radio.
We're gonna get a hold of the mayor. Yeah, no, I had one laying underneath the apple tree, and I had what was he 4-point buck. I've got pictures of him, and he was laying under the apple tree the other day. And I walk out to the shed from the house. He's laying there looking at me. I was like, "Hey, dude, what are you doing?" Just staring.
Right.
Now, I've only had 2 encounters of bears in my yard, and that's it. So lots of coyotes and stuff. But
9 years I've lived here.
Hmm?
1 encounter with a bear.
Is that right? Backyard or front?
Backyard.
Mm.
After I asked my ghost to keep the bears out,
Jeez.
we had the bear jump the fence,
Uh-huh.
did a double take. Something's freaked it out, and it beelined it for the far corner of my yard, climbed over the corner of the fence, out.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had one 2 years after I moved up here. He was walking down the driveway, just la la la. I was like, "Oh, hey, buddy." So he took off, but it was just before SOR went on break, and it was, I think, that I left here and I was heading home, and I was like, "What the heck's out in the front yard?" And there he is, wandering around. Do. I was like, "Okay, you got to get out of here." But
Oh, I love it.
I do too. I really do.
love the bears.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Then I had the badger in the backyard last year.
I haven't seen a badger yet.
They're nomadic. So
They follow the what they'll do is actually kind of cool, because they will go into an area,
mhm.
they'll wipe out the rodent
Yep.
population.
Yep.
And then whether it's rats or mice or
ground squirrels.
or what are those big things? And starts teddy bear like things.
Those
Starts with an M.
marmot.
Marmots.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wipe all those out,
Mm-hmm.
and then they leave the area.
Yeah.
And then, but that area is like, it's like they've stake claim to that area.
Mm-hmm.
And when that area refills,
They come back.
they go back, they clean it out again.
Yeah.
They're actually very good for nature.
Yeah, they are. I mean, the I guess the north side of my yard, on the hillside, I've got 2 burrows. He burrowed under one of the big spruce trees at the side of the house.
Nice.
And then he burrowed into the side hill at my neighbor, or just at my neighbor's property line. And I had no ground squirrels at all this year.
I haven't had any.
Well, the museum they had tons of them, right?
I'm surprised a badger hasn't moved in there.
I know. Like, didn't anybody give him directions? Like,
Yeah.
there and beside the rusty iron, right?
You almost need to drug one. Okay. You need to drug a badger, and then go to the museum, dig a big hole out by the lake.
Yeah.
Okay. And when it wakes up and realizes the heaven that it just got put into, you got lakeside property. Okay. With about 1,000 marmots running around.
Exactly. It's a smorgasbord.
It is a smorgasbord. We're doing them right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
I just don't understand why badgers are just so pissed off.
Mm.
They are angry,
Mm-hmm.
angry animals.
Yeah. Well, no,
Like they're worse than a house cat that's pissed off that you left at home at 4:02 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon and you were back at 4:05.
yeah, they can. Yeah, they can definitely be vicious. There's no question about it. I've never wanted to run into a wolverine.
Well, they're pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, but I don't think a badger can take down a grizzly.
Well, wolverines are bigger.
Yeah, they can.
Okay.
Be. True.
But you're
Fair.
also dealing with a critter, whether it's a badger or a wolverine,
Yeah.
that will take on a freaking cobra,
Yeah, Ricky Tikki Tavi or whatever that was.
take on a cobra and kill it.
Yeah.
Or any type of snake. I want to see, that's what they need to do in Florida with all the python problems that they have there and boa constrictors. Bring in the badgers
And the mongoose.
and the mongooses.
Right.
Well, no, mongoose, they're not native to North America.
Well, so
Badgers are, though.
yeah.
And they'll rip them suckers apart.
Mm-hmm. They would. Well, the UK? Lots of badgers there, but they're apparently not as voracious and ferocious as ours, from what I understand.
Well, I'd be pissed off too.
Well, they love them in the garden. Oh, there's a badger in the garden. I was like, what? Yeah.
Yep. I want to see that happen.
Yeah.
I want to see that happen. I want to see, a badger. I do. I've never seen one.
Okay.
And the porcupines.
Yeah.
I didn't realize a porcupine was that big.
They're huge.
They're huge.
Yeah, they are.
Their quills are not as long as Rob G's chin hair, but close enough.
Yeah. I've only seen a handful. But
I've only saw one.
Oh, see them in the trees when they go up north, farther north.
In our Sasquatch spot, before they logged the roadside, you would see the markings of all the porcupines up in the tree.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize before I moved up here that porcupines climb trees.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. No.
Where's Vancouver, Canada? I know Vancouver, British Columbia. J Truth Seeker, you're a lower mainlander. Don't tempt the Americans by giving them Canada. Canada is a big place.
No doubt. Coyotes and Vancouver, Canada. How about Stanley Park?
That is a pet. No offense to J Truth Seeker. That is a huge pet peeve of mine.
I know it is.
I hate that. I freaking hate that. That goes up there with Squatch.
Yeah. Yeah, I made that mistake.
Yeah, I ripped into Tim a couple weeks ago because he squatched me.
Hey, buddy, we going squatching? I don't squatch. Oh, damn. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I don't say that anymore.
I did say that. I believe I said something along the lines of that in Nebraska.
Oh.
At the Bigfoot conference.
Uh-huh.
Don't squatch. Don't squatch. I want to take your work seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rob Davey, you probably have quills under that tinfoil bodysuit. Hey, maybe. Dude, porcupines are huge, though.
Yeah, they are.
I didn't realize. I thought they were like a hedgehog.
Yeah.
Okay, like hedgehogs. No, man.
Mm-mm.
No, they're like 2 feet long and about 3 feet tall with their quills.
Yeah. Oh, they're a big animal.
Yeah, they are a big animal. I was coming down that death road when you're going into right before Barkerville, the town.
Wells?
Yeah. Okay, you do that real gorgeous drive. Yeah, where you're having to literally slalom your car. You need ski poles on your car to get down.
I do.
Yeah. I was going down there. And I saw something black kind of waddling across there. What the hell is that? And literally, I pulled beside it just as it got off the road. Right? And I looked, and I went, holy cow, that's a porcupine.
Really?
Never saw that before.
That's interesting because that's a weird spot. I mean,
I know.
like I'm a freaking porcupine habitat expert, but yeah, that is a weird spot because you've got the river right there, and then you've got the wall.
Well, it was when you came out of the slalom course.
Oh,
and then it kind of starts that straightaway, and then you make that right bend.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that would make sense.
Yeah, that's where it was.
The other thing too is that I know people that hunt porcupines because they eat them, and then whatever they do stuff with the quills and what have you. But
they make pens.
Really?
Quill tip pens.
Huh. Didn't know that. But no, lots of jewelry and stuff like that. They'll follow the hunters will follow the moose trails, because when the moose shake their antlers and they shed them, porcupines will chew on those. They love that stuff.
Really?
Yeah. So these guys will just follow them and follow the moose trails. And yeah.
I had no idea that any kind of antler or horn was healthy for animals to chew on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did not know that.
My dogs love them. You give them a mule deer rack, obviously no skull or anything, but just the antlers all day long. And yeah, it's really good for them.
Yeah.
I didn't realize
cleans their teeth.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a good dent. It's like going to the dentist every day for a while.
Yeah. And there's a calcium and stuff in there, obviously.
Yeah. In the horn marrow or whatever it is. Is it a marrow or something like that?
I think so. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Oh, Mothman. Yum. Moose antlers.
Better than moose knuckles. All right, everybody on YouTube land. We're going to see you tomorrow night. Why? Because we've got another show.
That's it.
Tomorrow night, Preston Dennett, Dolly Saffron are here. They want to talk about skeptical experiences. Yeah, the skeptics who have experiences.
Okay.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So we'll chat with you all tomorrow night. Good night, everybody. Thank you for the super chat. Shackville A, Chill Farm, Christina, Android, Joe ×2, Mennonite Abe, Trucker Andrew, Grant ×2, Flat 6, and Area 53. Greatly appreciate it. Much love, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.